To become an immortal sooner, I started cultivating in my mother's womb. Moreover, my mom is a female emperor. She is the only woman in the past centuries to prove the Tao and achieve the heavenly emperor fruit. Inside a heavenly emperor's belly, there isn't the expected amniotic fluid. Instead, it is a realm of primal chaos. Every day my mom uses great magical power to cleanse my marrow and forge my bones. The origin power from a heavenly emperor constantly nourishes my physical body and soul at all times. This makes me look forward to the moment of my birth immensely. Calculating the time, there are probably about 5 months left. Just as I was planning to lie flat, the self-discipline system found me. As the host is an emperor's son, you must have peerless cultivation and be different from ordinary people. Please start cultivating immediately. After the task is completed, you will be rewarded with the supreme bone and the heaven-devouring demonic art. Hearing this, I suddenly realized a very serious problem. Since my consciousness awakened until now, I have never been in contact with cultivation. Even though my mom is a heavenly emperor-level powerhouse, and my dad and other relatives around her are equally not weak, none of these people have ever discussed cultivation in front of me. Even if they did discuss it, with my current level, I wouldn't understand it at all anyway. Moreover, I am still in the womb, so there is no way for me to ask my mom and dad to teach me. The only thing that can allow me to cultivate is by utilizing mom's origin baptism. After the heavenly emperor's origin power enters my body, it always follows a special trajectory to comb through me. Continuing from the previous episode, Bailey Jinghong, Helian Cheng, and Gu Xiao were terrified, not daring to delay in the slightest. They quickly left. They ran quite fast. Jiang Yuxian raised his eyebrows slightly, and also immediately flew out. Feng Wuqiu, Huishou Tao, and the others were still waiting outside. If they bumped into Bailey Jinghong and his group, a fight might break out. Of course, if those people knew what was good for them, and left on their own, he wouldn't bother to intentionally seek trouble with them. Jiang Yuxian's figure flashed, and he arrived at the entrance of the palace, preparing to look for Feng Wuqiu and the others. However, right at this moment, a familiar voice suddenly rang out. Little brat. No one has ever dared to steal from my Bailey family. Divine desolation, heaven-locking formation. Open. With a loud crash, a sweep of dazzling divine light suddenly swept down from above. Endless runes flickered, revolving madly, releasing extremely formidable fluctuations. Mysterious patterns instantly took shape, flowing and intertwining in the void, instantly transforming into a massive cage, suppressing down upon Jiang Yuxian. Formation array disc. Jiang Yuxian's eyes flickered as he looked up. A palm-sized disc was releasing an imperishable light. Spiritual energy of heaven and earth rolled in, automatically absorbed into it, forming a ferocious grand formation. In just the blink of an eye, this space was sealed off. Jiang Yuxian knew that it was a powerful formation array disc. Only those with profound attainments in the Tao of formations could engrave countless formation runes on that palm-sized disc to carry around with them. Once the array disc was activated by external force, it could automatically absorb the world's spiritual energy to maintain its operation. Without sufficiently profound cultivation, it would be difficult to break open. While Jiang Yuxian was thinking, the surrounding scenery had already changed, isolating this place from the outside world. He couldn't see anyone else's figure at all. Rumble! Bursts of ferocious auras swept out like a flash flood, transforming into phantom after phantom of ferocious beasts, launching a mad pounce and kill towards Jiang Yuxian. A white tiger stepped on the void with its 4 paws, shifting horizontally like a majestic mountain. Its bloody maw opened wide, a bloody wind assaulting the face, wanting to swallow Jiang Yuxian into its belly. You want to trap me with a mere formation? Jiang Yuxian's gaze turned cold. At this moment, he truly felt murderous intent towards Bailey Jinghong. Kill! Jiang Yuxian shouted lightly, taking out the long sword he obtained from the palace, and slashed out fiercely. A massive sword beam hung in the sky like a divine rainbow, destroying everything, and viciously slashed onto the pouncing white tiger. Puff! The massive white tiger instantly exploded, turning into shattered light and vanishing into nothingness. But immediately after, a giant snake on the left swung its massive tail across the sky, carrying mountain-splitting and rock-shattering power, and whipped down fiercely. Jiang Yuxian did not hesitate at all, raising his sword to kill again. At the same time, he activated the Xing character secret, moving rapidly within the formation. When this secret technique is cultivated to grand completion, Supreme killing formations cannot trap you. Thousands of restrictions cannot stop you. Up to heaven or down to earth. There is nowhere you cannot go. However, Jiang Yuxian hadn't reached that level yet. To kill his way out, he still needed a moment. Meanwhile, in the outside world right now, Bailey Jinghong, Bailey Jingyun, Helian, Chang Guxiu, and the others were all standing outside the grand formation. Bailey Jinghong, using a killing formation against such a small child. Is it really appropriate? One of them asked with a frown. Before he could answer, Helian Chang was heard giving a cold sneer. What's inappropriate about it? All the treasures in the palace fell into his hands. How can you swallow this anger? Another youth thought for a moment and voiced his hesitation. Those are after all treasures of the ancient heaven sect, and not our belongings. The formations and restrictions here have been damaged, which was definitely not done intentionally by the ancient heaven sect. I'm afraid that when the assessment ends, the ancient heaven sect will take them back. Bailey Jinghong's eyes shone brightly, and he lightly glanced at the person who spoke. So what? As long as we get our hands on them, the ancient heaven sect will absolutely not ask for them back easily. Even if they do demand them back, they should use other things to exchange for them. His voice then lowered. Don't delay. This divine desolation heaven-locking formation I obtained from a ruin. Although it has tier 8 power, and is virtually unbreakable by anyone below the divine treasure realm. That little brat's movement technique is bizarre. And even restrictions can't stop him. We should attack together. And take him down. He doesn't even have an assessment tally. Even if he dies here, no one would dare to say anything. If you join, you get a share of the treasures. If you don't, then I, Bailey Jinghong, will enjoy them all alone. After saying that, he instantly charged into the grand formation. Bailey Jinghong's figure was submerged by the sky full of runes. He controlled the formation's operation, able to freely travel within it. That little brat can't unleash the full power of the imperial weapon. With the few of us joining forces, and the enhancement of the formation, let's see what waves he can make this time. Helian Chung sneered coldly, enduring the injuries on his chest, and also charged in with his saber. Gu Xiu and another youth named Murong Su similarly did not hesitate, following right after, their figures quickly disappearing. The remaining two stood in place, frowning without taking action. Under the circumstances of having no deep hatred or great grievance, for them to deal a killing blow to such a small child was something the two found hard to accept in their hearts. Right after the four, including Bailey Jinghong, entered the formation, a tender voice came from afar, incomparably anxious. Boss! It was exactly Hui Shoutao, Feng Wuchou and their group, flying rapidly towards this location. They had originally been waiting outside the palace, planning to reinforce Jiang Yuxian. Who would have thought that Bailey Jinghong would actually use a tier 8 killing formation? Although they hadn't seen what happened inside the palace, they could roughly guess that the treasures inside must have fallen into the boss's hands. These people from the great clans are too despicable. Yang Xiao spoke angrily, holding a large halberd. Big brother treated us well, sharing so many precious medicines. We can't just ignore him. Han Xian narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice. Many people, including Qin Yushi and Feng Wuchou, instantly attacked together. Wave after wave of attacks shot through the air, attempting to shake that massive formation. At this time, Bailey Jingyun was still guarding the side with three others. Seeing them charge over, Bailey Jingyun sneered. You actually dare to show up? This time without that little brat protecting you. Let's see where you can escape to. Kill. Take all the precious medicines from them. With a wave of his hand, he and the other three simultaneously met Qin Yushi, Hui Shoutao, and the others. Powerful true spirits emerged behind them, transforming into terrifying phantoms of ferocious beasts, roaring and shaking the sky. In an instant they blocked the attacks of Feng Wuchou and the others. Beat them down. Save Big Brother. Yang Xiao gritted his teeth, sweeping his halberd, manifesting a terrifying aura blade, as if it could split heaven and earth. 7 powerful true spirits appeared behind Bailey Jingyun, one of which, a savage ape phantom, roared at the sky, beating its chest with both palms. Then a large hand slammed down viciously, crushing the halberd's aura blade. Just based on you jumping clowns. You still want to save someone? Dream on. Bailey Jingyun sneered repeatedly. He was at the 7th level of the spirit nurturing realm, with profound cultivation. The three beside him were also above the 5th level. They were not people just anyone could deal with. But the next moment, they saw the guy opposite them, who always had his face covered, suddenly burst forth with an extremely formidable aura. With a boom, 8 true spirits emerged. 8th level of the spirit-nurturing realm. Bailey Jingyun and the other 3 were shocked. They truly hadn't expected that among these people there was actually an 8th level spirit-nurturing realm expert. In an instant the few of them became much more solemn. Catch Bailey Jingyun. If Bailey Jinghong dares to touch my big brother, we'll slaughter his younger brother. Han Xian yelled. As they spoke, the two sides engaged in battle, fighting inextricably for a time. Meanwhile, inside the divine desolation, heaven-locking formation, the magnificent array momentum sealed the heavens and locked the earth. The grand momentum rolled on, terrifying killing intent appearing and disappearing unpredictably, rising one after another. The formation operated, manifesting fierce birds and savage beasts inside, turning into saber beams and sword shadows, madly strangling and killing. Jiang Yuxian stepped with the Xing character secret, moving unhindered back and forth, breaking through wave after wave of attacks, with the imperial weapon longsword in hand, plus the profoundness of the Xing character secret. These attacks did not pose too fatal a threat to him. In fact, not long after, he had already, with the help of the Xing character secret, figured out quite a few tricks of this formation, becoming increasingly adept and at ease. You want to trap me with just a formation like this? Jiang Yuxian's lips curled into a disdainful arc. The runes beneath his feet flashed, carrying him to calmly dodge the pouncing strike of a fierce bird's sharp claws. And then he circled behind it, slashing down with a single sword strike. The fierce bird turned into light and shadow, scattering away and disappearing. And right at this moment, a massive voice suddenly resonated throughout the entire formation, as if coming from beyond the heavens. The little brat really has some tricks. But this is as far as it goes. Stop talking nonsense. Kill him. And take the ultimate treasures. Jiang Yuxian looked up, and saw 4 heaven-spanning figures manifesting within the formation. It was exactly Bailey Jinghong, Gu Xiao, Helian Chung, and Murong Su. They had entered the formation, hiding in unknown locations, revealing themselves through the power of the formation. While speaking, Helian Chung moved first, standing in front of Jiang Yuxian. He raised his long saber and fiercely chopped down. In the next instant, that saber beam appeared behind Jiang Yuxian, enhanced by the formation. Its power surged 100-fold, like a galaxy hanging upside down, piercing through layer upon layer of formation momentum, and attacking fiercely. Jiang Yuxian's expression froze slightly. His figure swayed, and he hastily dodged it. Immediately after, he saw Gu Xiao on the left raise that bone claw, and claw fiercely towards the top of his head. However, the final attack appeared at the back of Jiang Yuxian's heart, as if to pierce through his torso and dig out his heart. Rumble! Bailey Jinghong and Murong Su also attacked at the same time. A massive net of light blotted out the sky, suppressing down towards Jiang Yuxian. Murong Su thrust straight at him with a spear. Jiang Yuxian's figure flickered erratically, dodging the attacks of the 4, while resisting the power of the killing formation. If he didn't have the Xing character secret, he felt he would probably face no small amount of danger. But reality has no ifs. It seems this is all the skill you have. Since that's the case, then it's my turn to attack. A cold smile appeared on Jiang Yuxian's lips. He paced the stars and walked the dipper, standing aloft in the void, executing strange step after strange step beneath his feet, seemingly strolling leisurely, yet appearing to contain endless mysteries. He moved calmly within the divine desolation, heaven-locking formation, constantly feeling out the weak links of this formation, until a certain moment, his eyes suddenly focused. Found it! Jiang Yuxian chuckled lightly. His figure swayed, leaving only a phantom in his original spot, which was swallowed by a ferocious beast manifested by the formation. Yet he wasn't seen appearing again. Where did he go? Somewhere in the divine desolation, heaven-locking formation. Helian Cheng's scalp suddenly went numb, and warning signs blared in his heart. Careful behind you! Bailey Jinghong shouted from another location, voicing a warning. Hearing this, Helian Chung spun around suddenly, only to see a terrifying sword beam attacking towards him. Puff! Before the sword beam truly landed, it caused a deep bone-revealing gash to appear on his chest. Fortunately, at this moment, Bailey Jinghong activated the formation, and waves of peerless power permeated out, taking Helian Cheng and instantly teleporting him to another location. Even so, copious amounts of blood still gushed from his chest. Completely unstoppable. In just an instant, Helian Cheng's face grew much paler. That was close. Helian Cheng hastily took out a pill and swallowed it. To stem his injuries. If Bailey Jinghong hadn't acted in time just now, he probably would have lost his life. That little brat figured out the formations pattern. Everyone be careful. Bailey Jinghong reminded the other two. The Tao of formations is ever-changing. As Bailey Jinghong spoke, he manipulated the divine desolation, heaven-locking formation, keeping it operating continuously, shifting at every moment, wanting to use this to block Jiang Yuxian and confuse his perception. The four remained vigilant, while launching renewed attacks, swearing to take that little child down in one fell swoop. But they quickly and shockingly discovered that whether it was the formation's own attacks, or the sneak attacks launched by the few of them using the formation's amplification, they were all dodged one by that little thing. That small figure even roamed continuously, like a dream or illusion, making it hard to figure out where he would appear next. This situation left the four of them immensely shocked. I don't believe that the four of us joining forces, plus a tier Ba formation, can't even take down a little thing in the divine wheel realm. Helian Cheng's eyes were dark, nearly grinding his teeth to pieces. Bailey Jinghong's face was also entirely gloomy. They were all existences in the soul fusion realm, facing a child who looked only about 2 years old right now. They actually seemed so helpless. A deep sense of frustration couldn't help but rise in their hearts. Moreover, 6 ultimate treasures had fallen into that little thing's hands. No matter what, they had to snatch them back. Kill! Bailey Jinghong shouted again. The four attacked simultaneously, launching a new round of offensive strikes. Meanwhile, amidst the formation's momentum, as time continued to pass, Jiang Yuxian became increasingly composed. He had figured out even higher levels of profoundness. The marvel of the Xing character secret lay in the fact that it was engraved with the most profound runes, cultivated to the deepest level. It could almost approach the origin of the great Tao, grasping the trajectory of time. Although with Jiang Yuxian's current attainments, it was far from possible to reach such a level. A tier Ba formation like this could no longer cause him much trouble. Breaking out of here for real was only a matter of how much time it would take. On the contrary, being here also brought his cultivation of the Xing character secret quite a bit of tempering and validation. Jiang Yuxian stepped out time and time again, his figure flickering in and out of existence. By now, no attack posed the slightest threat to him anymore. He could easily dodge them all. I would like to see where else you can hide. Not long after, he once again discovered the location of Bailey Jinghong's true body. With a single step taken, his figure disappeared from its original spot. With a swish, he appeared behind Bailey Jinghong, the long sword in his hand chopping down without hesitation. In fact, the moment Jiang Yuxian disappeared, Bailey Jinghong had already roused 120% of his spirit to prevent his sudden sneak attack. But even so, that sword beam still cleaved through his defenses in one fell swoop, viciously slashing open his shoulder blade. Puff! Blood sprayed and a scream of agony rang out simultaneously. One of Bailey Jinghong's arms was severed cleanly at the shoulder. Falling into the formation, the divine desolation heaven-locking formation manifested a fierce tiger out of thin air, which pounced out and instantly swallowed this arm into its mouth. Little brat! I'm going to kill you! Intense pain invaded Bailey Jinghong's nerves, making him yell incessantly, his eyes practically splitting open. He was controlling the formation himself, yet he actually had an arm severed by this little thing. How could he accept this? But as he spoke, Bailey Jinghong dared not stay in place for even a moment, instantly hiding his figure within the formation's momentum. Hearing his words before he left, Jiang Yuxian couldn't help but laugh. What a coincidence. I want to kill you right now too, he was heard saying with a cold laugh, towards Bailey Jinghong, Helian Cheng, and the others. He had truly and tangibly developed murderous intent. For the sake of a king-grade precious medicine, they attacked the moment they said so, without any intention of holding back. Getting a few precious artifacts and essence blood in the palace made the few of them even more red-eyed with greed. Even using such a killing formation, if Jiang Yuxian didn't possess the Xing character secret, plus his own considerable strength, replacing him with any other soul fusion realm cultivator, they would likely have died and vanished by now. Towards such people, he would no longer have the slightest bit of mercy. Severing your arm is just the interest. Next I will play with you all properly. Jiang Yuxian's words were chilling. He took a step, once again weaving through the divine desolation, heaven-locking formation. Before long he found where Gu Xiu was located. This time he didn't directly raise his sword to slash. Instead he took out the purple gold god-transforming gourd, and without a word pulled out the stopper, and infused spiritual energy into it. With a loud crash, that terrifying devouring power burst forth once again. The entire grand formation shook, and endless runes were sucked in. Gu Xiu shrieked miserably on the spot. Caught off guard, Jiang Yuxian succeeded against him. In an instant, his already damaged divine soul was directly yanked out of his skull. Amidst extreme twisting and deformation, it was once again swallowed by more than half by the purple gold god-transforming gourd. When Bailey Jinghong activated the formation to stop it, it was already too late. Gu Xiu's divine soul was completely obliterated, dying a violent death in an instant. His corpse fell from the void, and was subsequently shredded into nothingness by the formation's power. Damn it! In another location, Bailey Jinghong and Helian Chung both cursed loudly. The youth named Murongsu. His body trembled violently even more. This kid is too evil, too bizarre. We can't kill him at all. If this continues, I'm afraid we'll be counter-killed by him. I don't want the treasures anymore. I'm leaving first. He completely dared not delay any further. His figure leaped and escaped out of the formation. Losing treasures was better than losing his life. Bailey Jinghong and Helian Chung. Their gazes were so deep they looked as if water would drip from them. No matter what, they dared not imagine that such a tiny little fellow could actually be terrifying to this extent. Especially that extremely weird movement technique. It was truly too horrific. Plus holding several imperial weapons in hand. The few of them in the soul fusion realm could hardly match him. By this point, the two of them also felt an intense crisis of death. Neither wanted to end up like Gu Xiu. Think of a way quickly, Helian Chung urged. Bailey Jinghong fell into a brief silence. If the situation was unviable, they would have no choice but to give up. But soon Bailey Jinghong was seen gritting his teeth fiercely. This little brat severed my arm. If this grudge is not avenged, when I Bailey Jinghong enter the ancient heaven sect in the future, how will I be able to hold my head high? No matter what, I must slay him today. If ordinary methods can't kill him, then let him along with this divine desolation, heaven-locking formation, be destroyed together. Bailey Jinghong said viciously, his eyes nearly splitting open. Hearing these words, Helian Chung looked at him in surprise, and then also nodded. This was indeed a very good method. The divine desolation, heaven-locking formation, is a tier Ba formation. When operating at full power, it can even kill experts in the divine treasure realm. And if made to self-destruct, the resulting power would be even more terrifying, arguably capable of destroying heaven and earth, obliterating everything. Even if a heavenly evolution realm cultivator were trapped inside, with one careless mistake, they might end up dying with regret. No matter how strong or bizarre that little thing's movement technique was, it would be absolutely impossible to escape alive. Even if he wore that imperial weapon armor, without sufficient spiritual energy to support it, he would only be crushed into flying ash. And at that time, the several ultimate treasures on his body would naturally be preserved without any damage, falling into the hands of the two of them. Go! Bailey Jinghong made the decision in an instant, immediately taking Helian Chung and rushing out of the formation. At the same time, the two poured out all their strength, madly infusing it into the formation array disk, urging the divine desolation heaven-locking formation to begin a crazy reverse operation. Instantly, an extremely terrifying sharp howling sound shattered the heavens, brewing a terrifying apocalyptic power. When Murongsu rushed out of the grand formation, Feng Wucho, Bailey Jingyun, and the others who were in a fierce battle had already stopped their movements. Pairs of eyes watched him flee into the distance, not understanding why. And soon, they also saw Bailey Jinghong and Helian Chung rush out of the divine desolation, heaven-locking formation, and then activate their power, causing the massive formation momentum to unfold a terrifying reversal. The condition of these two made everyone present turn pale with fright. Helian Cheng's chest displayed two terrifying wounds, almost slashing open his chest cavity and exposing his internal organs. And Bailey Jinghong had even lost an arm, heavily injured. Such a situation left everyone extremely shocked. The two youths who hadn't entered the formation looked at each other in dismay. They both wanted to know what exactly had happened inside the grand formation just now. That little child was trapped inside. Yet could still injure them to this extent? Also, didn't 4 people enter the divine desolation heaven-locking formation? Where was Gu Xiao? But right now there was no time for them to overthink. Under the urging of Bailey Jinghong and his companion, that ferocious Tier 8 formation was already reversing with a rumble. Oh no! Feng Wuqiu exclaimed, quickly realizing their goal. Qin Yushi Han Xian and the others were equally anxious. They absolutely dared not imagine that several existences in the soul fusion realm would actually be forced to such a state. Frenzied and mad. Simply damnable. What do we do now? If I had known, I would have given my tally to boss. At this time, boundless spiritual energy of heaven and earth was madly absorbed by the formation, fluctuating with earth-shattering power. But Feng Wuqiu and the others had no way out. Formation reversal would undoubtedly bring unimaginable consequences. They knew Jiang Yuxian was strong. But no matter how strong, how could he withstand the reversal of a Tier 8 formation? That destructive power would erupt in an instant. With ordinary methods it was simply impossible to survive. And this realization, no one felt it more profoundly than Jiang Yuxian, who was inside the formation. Formation reversal. Your desire to kill me truly refuses to die. Jiang Yuxian's eyes became incomparably cold. In an instant a peerless killing intent constantly swirled in his heart. He had never wanted to kill someone as much as he did now. Jiang Yuxian's inner spirit boiled. Today, even if the King of Heaven himself came, Bailey Jinghong was absolutely dead. Just as his thoughts were turning, the surrounding void let out incomparably massive rumbling sounds. As if heaven were enraged. Muffled thunder rolling. It roared turbulently like mountains collapsing and the earth splitting. Endless power rapidly gathered, transforming into surging divine light, dazzling so much that one simply couldn't open their eyes, turning the formation space into a vast expanse of white. During this process, a power akin to punishing the heavens and killing the earth vented out, destroying everything in its path. In just the span of a breath, large swaths of the void silently shattered, collapsing into nothingness. Jiang Yuxian's physical body began to split open, precious blood flowing. Terrifying power filled every inch of space, squeezing his bones so hard they creaked. On the verge of breaking, he was very clear that wanting to escape with the Xing character secret at this moment was already too late. However, Jiang Yuxian's expression remained grim and cold, sneering continuously. You really think reversing the formation can kill me? I have to say you are still too naive. He was heard muttering to himself, his voice deep, thinking up to here. Jiang Yuxian surprisingly did not attempt to resist. He even stopped all movements, just standing there in the void, even putting away the imperial weapon in his hand, offering no resistance at all. He coldly watched all this, as if resigning himself to death. Boom! 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 The formation momentum was majestic, the divine abilities vast. The firmament trembled. The void collapsed. Until a certain moment, the power of the formation's reversal reached a peak. Time seemed to stop for a moment. Immediately after, all the power came crashing down, fiercely squeezing towards the inside of the formation, like 100,000 massive mountains. It suppressed down right upon Jiang Yuxian's head. A massive sound spread throughout the 9 heavens. The firmament shuddered. The earth cracked open. Outside, Feng Wuqiu, Qin Yushi, Bailey Jinghong and the others only saw a patch of dazzling light collapse towards the middle of the formation, ultimately gathering into a single most brilliant point of divine light. And then with a crash, it madly expanded outwards. Retreat quickly. Everyone fled frantically into the distance. Even so, they were still blown away dozens of miles by the vast energy, before barely managing to withstand it. Looking back, endless divine light had swallowed everything. Boss! Big brother! Little fellow! Seeing this, Hui Shoutao, Han Xian, Qin Yushi, Feng Wuqiu and the others, their eyes instantly turned red. The self-destruction of a Tier Ba formation. Even a heavenly evolution realm cultivator might not be able to withstand it, let alone such a tiny little fellow. At this moment the few of them felt utterly disheartened, their hearts sinking to the bottom of the valley. But the rest of the people became extremely excited. Ha ha ha, let's see how that little brat can survive now. In the distance, Helian Chung laughed wildly. His face was pale, and the 2 terrifying wounds on his chest were still slowly oozing blood. But at this point, Helian Chung simply couldn't care about his injuries. After the formation self-destructed, he immediately flew and dashed back in that direction. All the ultimate treasures will be split equally between you and me. Bailey Jinghong also spoke in a deep voice. He had only one arm left. And his injuries were heavy. But his speed wasn't slow at all. With spiritual energy surging, he instantly charged over. A tier Ba formation still can't destroy Imperial weapons. However, just as the two were full of excitement and preparing to rush into the formation to seize the spoils of war, waves of boundlessly ferocious power slowly erupted outwards. The sky full of light seemed to turn into a vast oceanic tide, rolling layer upon layer, sweeping out towards the surrounding wilderness. Immediately after, they saw a small figure stepping through the air, treading on endless shattered light, slowly walking over. At his collar, a delicate jade pendant floated, emitting a hazy light. It wasn't bright and fierce, yet it carried an inviolable majesty. All energy was excluded outside, forbidden from touching him in the slightest. Seeing this, the group froze simultaneously on the spot. Pairs of eyes practically bulged out of their sockets. Bailey Jinghong and Helian Cheng's forward-charging movements also abruptly stopped. He's actually fine? How could this be? The crowd swallowed hard, speaking with dry throats. In the depths of everyone's eyes was filled with an expression of utter disbelief, doubting whether they had seen wrong. The reversal of a Tier 8 formation actually failed to kill him? How is this possible? At this very moment, especially Bailey Jinghong and Helian Cheng found this result the hardest to accept. The jade pendant. It's that jade pendant on his neck. Helian Cheng suddenly yelled. The others also quickly noticed this. Obviously, it was that jade pendant that played the key role, allowing that little fellow to be safe and sound without a single scratch. What kind of treasure is that? Why is it that just by looking at it, my divine soul trembles, and I can't help but want to kneel? Bailey Jingyun said in a trembling voice, shivering. In fact, Bailey Jinghong, Helian Cheng, and the others also had the same feeling. That delicate jade pendant seemingly had no great power, yet it seemed to have an aura that made people shudder. Just as everyone was stunned in horror, that small figure suddenly swayed and vanished in a flash. Immediately after he appeared in front of Bailey Jinghong and Helian Cheng, the imperial weapon longsword appeared in his hand at the same time. At the same time, Jiang Yuxian's deep voice echoed in the void. What are you staring at? Weren't you trying to kill me? As soon as Jiang Yuxian's words fell, the long sword in his hand suddenly swung down. A heaven-spanning and earth-piercing sword aura, like a long rainbow hanging in the sky, instantly arrived before the two to strike. Bailey Jinghong and Helian Cheng were still in a daze, and couldn't help but turn pale with horror. Without a word, they mobilized all their power, evolving it into a divine wall in front of them, to forcefully take such a terrifying sword beam. A loud boom echoed out. Their defenses crumbled instantly. The massive energy storm directly blew them away. We can't kill him anymore. Go! Bailey Jinghong and Helian Cheng exchanged a glance, and immediately made a decision. At this time they had heavy injuries on their bodies, and their strength was greatly impaired. They couldn't unleash even 20% of their cultivation base. Facing Jiang Yuxian holding an imperial weapon, they simply lacked the power to fight again. As for those ultimate treasures, it was impossible to get them anymore. If they forcefully attacked again, they might even lose their lives here. In a split second, the two fled rapidly. However, upon turning their heads, they saw behind that small figure a pair of wings formed of golden light suddenly manifest. With a light flap, it carried his figure across in a straight line, fast to the extreme. This is the golden-winged Great Peng Rune. Bailey Jinghong's expression shook violently, terrified to death. He recognized the origin of those wings. It was exactly formed from the innate rune of the golden-winged Great Peng. That was a powerful creature only existing in the immemorial era. It possessed the extreme speed of the world, unparalleled in the vast universe, wandering the northern sea in the morning and reaching Kangwu by dusk, unmatched by anyone. In just the blink of an eye, they saw that small figure block their path ahead, killing intent like a tide. Brat! You still can't kill me! Bailey Jinghong roared fiercely, eyes practically splitting open. At this point he could no longer escape. Without needing to think, a jade talisman suddenly appeared in his only remaining palm, and he crushed it with a bang. Today, even if the King of Heaven comes, you cannot escape death. Seeing this, Jiang Yuxian suddenly shouted loudly. The Xing character secret and the golden-winged Great Peng Rune were simultaneously pushed to the extreme by him. Like a teleportation, he stood in front of Bailey Jinghong, the long sword in his hand, already slashing down. Puff! Another muffled sound, accompanied by scarlet blood spraying. Half an arm was sliced off entirely. Bailey Jinghong howled miserably. His other arm had actually been severed too. Before he could even react, his body took a kick, and he was instantly sent flying. At the same time, that severed half-arm, wrapped in a burst of dazzling light, was teleported away. Such a scene left everyone around utterly dumbfounded. Big Brother is so brutal. Bailey Jinghong used his tally, but failed to escape successfully. I'm afraid he's going to die. Everyone's heart was filled with terror. Such a small person actually severed both of Bailey Jinghong's arms. Even though he used the tally at the last moment, it didn't play any role. This situation made everyone's scalp tingle. That little fellow was too ferocious. At this very moment, Bailey Jinghong's heart was filled with fear. A thick shadow of death loomed over him. He had already realized that what he was going to face next was likely truly a dead end. Damn it! In the distance, Helian Chung cursed viciously. Without even thinking, he also took out his tally and immediately activated it. If there was any further delay, he was afraid he would follow in Bailey Jinghong's footsteps. In an instant, a patch of dazzling runes lit up, forming a powerful and mysterious array diagram around Helian Chung. A spatial power permeated, wrapping him up. Want to escape? In front of me you cannot escape. Jiang Yuxian also noticed his movement immediately. Among everyone, Helian Cheng's killing intent towards him was the most overbearing. How could he possibly let him go now? Without a word, Jiang Yuxian directly turned his body, temporarily abandoning Bailey Jinghong. At the same time, a wave of peerless power gathered madly at his chest. A bone inside his body erupted with the brilliance of a blazing sun. An incomparably terrifying beam of light instantly shot out across the sky, crossing the vast expanse, and viciously blasted onto Helian Cheng's body. Supreme bone, innate divine ability. Heaven's tribulation light. This realm of heaven and earth shook several times, as if heaven were collapsing and the earth caving in. Like the heavens descending divine punishment, mountain after mountain collapsed successively, annihilated into nothingness. And at the place where that beam of light landed, Helian Cheng's figure was nowhere to be seen. His entire person seemed to have been erased from this world, silently, ceasing to exist. WHWHWH, divine ability is that. The respective onlookers, their jaws began to chatter unconsciously. That divine ability just now had already exceeded their comprehension. Striking out with one blow, it caused a genius like Helian Chung to die instantly, body and soul extinguished, not even ashes remaining. And such terrifying power actually came from a divine wheel realm cultivator. Inconceivable. Cannot withstand a single blow. Jiang Yuxian curled his lip. Killing Helian Cheng with the heaven's tribulation light was like using an ox cleaver to kill a chicken. There was absolutely no reason for any accidents. Jiang Yuxian turned his head again and looked at Bailey Jinghong. By this point, Bailey Jinghong's heart was already dead as ashes. His hair hung down loosely, his expression turning frantic. He simply couldn't believe that he had actually provoked such a terrifying little monster. You are not human. You can't kill me. I am the number one person of the current generation of the Bailey family. If you kill me, the Bailey family will definitely not let you off. Bailey Jinghong's face was ferocious, roaring madly, wanting to escape, but unable to shake off the pursuit at all. A boundless mockery surfaced on Jiang Yuxian's lips. Completely unmoved, with a flip of his wrist, he abruptly pressed towards Bailey Jinghong's chest. I heard you have innate holy veins, which is quite extraordinary. Since you are going to die, keeping them would be a waste. You might as well let them be nourishment for me. Jiang Yuxian's 5 fingers, like 5 incredibly terrifying suction cups, stuck firmly onto Bailey Jinghong's body. The heaven-swallowing demonic art within his body abruptly circulated. Bailey Jinghong let out a tragic and inhumane howl. From his 4 limbs and hundreds of bones, radiant martial veins suddenly emerged, like the thick roots of an old tree, crisscrossing, waves of ferocious power permeating out, with overwhelming might. These were his innate holy veins, out of the ordinary. But at this time Bailey Jinghong's martial veins were being drawn out of his body at a terrifying speed, following Jiang Yuxian's 5 fingers. entering into his body, and subsequently refined by the heaven-swallowing demonic art, returning to the most origin power. Until a certain moment, the miserable screams abruptly stopped. Jiang Yuxian let go of his fingers. Bailey Jinghong went limp like a worm, falling through the void. On his entire person, the last bit of vitality was gradually fading away. Bailey Jinghong is dead too. Seeing this, the people in the distance, their hearts and gallbladders trembled. Big brother! Bailey Jingyun let out a mournful cry. His several companions beside him were filled with panic, terrified to the extreme. The look in their eyes as they looked at Jiang Yuxian was as if they had seen a ghost. He devoured the innate holy veins. That's a demonic method. A demon king. He is a true demon king. The group felt as if their souls would fly beyond the heavens. Endlessly panicked. Let's go quickly. Tell the ancient heaven sect about the situation here. Demonic figures have sneaked in. Quick. The 4 people of Bailey Jinghong's group no longer delayed in the slightest, each immediately activating their tallies and swiftly teleporting out. Bailey Jingyun and the other 3 fled in a panic, not daring to stay for a moment. Meanwhile, all around, a crowd of people's eyes all landed on Jiang Yuxian. Everyone's heart was filled with terror and shock. 2 soul fusion realm geniuses were actually killed instantly, dying tragically on the spot. That little demon king is simply too terrifying. His strength has long surpassed countless geniuses. He's only so little. Looking across the entire 3,000 Dao realms, I'm afraid it would be hard to find a second monster like this. At this very moment, the other 2 soul fusion realm youths, who gave up attacking Jiang Yuxian at the last moment, were full of trembling in their hearts. They couldn't imagine, if the 2 of them had similarly acted without scruples earlier, and attacked the little demon king to snatch the ultimate treasures, would they also have died tragically by his hands at this time? Thinking of this, the 2 were filled with lingering fear. Let's go. After standing dazed in place for a while, they turned around and flew away into the distance, deeply afraid that if they hesitated for a moment, that little demon king would also deal a killing blow to them. Jiang Yuxian paid no attention to this. At this time his entire body was permeated with dazzling divine radiance, like a peerless divine treasure. Divine power surged, brilliance soaring into the 9th heaven. Vigorous power surged endlessly within his body, washing over every inch of muscle and bone, emitting popping sounds. The power of the innate holy veins is not bad. Jiang Yuxian's eyes were slightly closed, feeling the changes in his body. Devouring Bailey Jinghong's innate holy veins actually caused his already peerlessly formidable physique to improve a little more. It had to be said. This kind of martial vein was indeed extraordinary. Although it couldn't compare to special physiques like the Solar Radiant Star physique or Heavenly Dragon Battle physique, it was still sufficiently powerful and rare. Under the operation of the heaven-swallowing demonic art, the power of the innate holy veins was rapidly refined and absorbed by him. But all this falling into the eyes of the others was like facing a demon god, making people's hearts and gallbladders tremble. Boss, he really is someone from the demonic path. Hui Shoutao spoke blankly, finding it hard to accept. How could this be? Why would Big Brother cultivate demonic divine abilities? I can't believe it. Yang Xiaohan Xian and the others also cried out in sorrow incessantly. They had been with Jiang Yuxian for a long time. Although they often suffered punches and kicks, in their hearts there was sincere admiration and awe. Otherwise they would have thought of every way to escape long ago. But now, they actually discovered that the Big Brother who led them plundering everywhere, who led them roasting meat and stewing soup, actually devoured Bailey Jinghong's innate holy veins. This was absolutely a demonic method. This made the group fundamentally unable to accept it, including Feng Wuqiu and Qin Yushi. Their hearts also surged, emotions in disarray. Just when everyone was full of melancholy, Hui Shoutao suddenly spoke again, giving everyone a soul-searching question. If Boss is a person of the demonic path, the ancient heaven sect will definitely not let him go. We've been hanging out with him for so long. Will we also be implicated? He stared wide-eyed, sweeping his gaze straight at Qin Yushi, Feng Wuqiu and the others. The crowd suddenly fell into a dead silence. Each one stood in place like wooden stakes. Hui Shoutao spun around in anxiety. What should we do? No. We have to flee quickly. He suddenly stopped, and after taking another look at Jiang Yuxian, turned around and ran. Feng Wuqiu and the others were a mess in the wind, but soon they saw a figure flash in the void. A small figure was like teleporting, appearing behind Hui Shoutao. Raising a foot, he kicked fiercely onto his butt. With an "Aya," Hui Shoutao performed a dog-eating shit on the spot, his head planting right into the dirt. And the person who acted? Who else could it be but Jiang Yuxian? He landed beside Hui Shoutao, suddenly darkened his face, and laughed gloomily. You actually saw through my identity as a person of the demonic path. Since that's the case, then I cannot keep you alive. Your heavenly dragon battle physique is much stronger than the innate holy veins. It can just serve as my nourishment too. Yeah. Jiang Yuxian wore a ferocious expression, as if truly incarnating into a giant evil of the demonic path. He channeled spiritual energy into his palm, grabbed the back of Hui Shoutao's collar, and slowly rose into the void. Boss, spare my life. Hui Shoutao immediately shrieked miserably like a pig being slaughtered. Boss, let me go. I am utterly loyal to you. The heaven and earth can testify, the sun and moon can witness. I swear in the name of my grandpa, I will absolutely not reveal your demonic identity. Boss, do me a favor, and let me go. Hui Shoutao squeezed his eyes shut, limbs flailing wildly, almost scared out of his wits, his voice even taking on a crying tone. Jiang Yuxian held him up, unable to hold back his laughter. They all say the heavenly dragon battle physique is born for battle, becoming braver and stronger the more it fights. But how come you got it reversed? You get more cowardly the more you fight. At least the Gallic rooster can hold out for a month or so. But you just kneel instantly. Hui Shoutao's appearance made him overjoyed. After teasing for a moment, Jiang Yuxian threw him down from the void, landing on his butt on the ground. I'm fine? Hui Shoutao was dazed for a good while before coming back to his senses. Feeling himself all over, he widened his eyes again. Seeing this scene, Feng Wuchou Qin, Yushi Han Xian, and the others behind all couldn't help but chuckle. Looking just like a flock of little roosters that had just laid eggs. Just as Big Brother said. You are the heavenly dragon battle physique after all. Shouldn't you at least resist a bit? This is way too cowardly. The group laughed uncontrollably. The fear previously brought by Jiang Yuxian suddenly dissipated quite a bit. But at the same time a question popped up in their minds. What the hell is the Gallic rooster Big Brother mentioned? Jiang Yuxian gave Hui Shoutao a final glance, and then slowly spoke. Those who kill will constantly be killed by others. 3 died. But 1 still got away. His gaze looked towards the distance. Feng Wuchou and the others followed his gaze. They knew that was the direction Murongsu fled. Previously a total of 4 people entered the Divine Desolation heaven-locking formation. Right now Bailey Jinghong Guxiu and Helian Chung were already dead. Only Murongsu remained. Suddenly, everyone saw Jiang Yuxian's figure fly out, quickly dashing towards the distance. Not long after he disappeared amidst the concealing mountains. In the void, only an ethereal sentence remained. I'll go look for him. You can follow. Or you can leave on your own. Feng Wuchou and the others stood in place for a good while, only then realizing he was going to hunt down Murongsu. Are we going? Han Xian asked uncertainly. But Big Brother, is he really someone from the demonic path? Yang Xiao had a strange expression, finding it hard to decide. Feng Wuchou pondered for a long while. If he were from the demonic path, the few of us would have been devoured clean long ago. Let's go take a look first. After he finished speaking, he also charged into the sky, heading towards the direction Jiang Yuxian disappeared. The rest thought about it, and also chased after. The time since Murongsu escaped wasn't long. He was the last to leave. With Jiang Yuxian's speed, he didn't search for long among the mountains and ravines before discovering his tracks. Without a word, the soul divine wheel crushed over. A large stretch of mountains was crushed into flying ash. Murongsu's soul nearly flew beyond the heavens. That little demon king actually chased after me. He gritted his teeth, light flashing in each of his hands, and 2 tallies appeared. One was the ancient heaven sex teleportation array tally. The other was a 10,000-mile divine speed tally. Slapping it onto his leg, his speed surged drastically. Murongsu was unwilling to give up the assessment just like that. He wanted to use this to shake off the pursuit. In a hurry, he dodged the bombardment of the soul divine wheel. Immediately after, he continuously dodged and shifted among the mountains and ravines, twisting and turning back, attempting to cause interference to Jiang Yuxian. 2 figures, one chasing and one fleeing. Before long, They pulled an extremely vast distance away from that palace. Jiang Yuxian wholeheartedly hunted down Murongsu. He did not know that at this time the outside world, because of him, was experiencing a massive uproar. Within that teleportation, a ray shining with divine light, a severed arm appeared. Bailey Jingyun and his two companions were subsequently teleported out as well. They brought earth-shattering news. That severed arm belonged exactly to the number one person of the younger generation of the Bailey family, Bailey Jinghong. Besides this, Gu Xiao and Helian Chung, two supreme geniuses, were also dead. These three were all killed by one person. That person was exactly the little demon king, who severely injured the two youths from the Shao clan earlier. Such a piece of news made countless people dumbfounded on the spot, their faces full of horror. Three outstanding young heroes actually died by the hands of the same person. Not even the teleportation tallies could save their lives. Only one of Bailey Jinghong's arms was teleported out. But that little demon king was just a small child looking to be around 2 years old. How could this be possible? For a time, the crowd fell into a long dead silence. No one dared to believe all of this was true. But these words all came from Bailey Jingyun's mouth, leaving no room for others to doubt. Is that little demon king a monster? How could there be such a terrifying evildoer in the current world? Little bastard. This old man will definitely kill you. In the distance, a white-haired old man, holding Bailey Jinghong's severed arm, shouted furiously again and again. His full head of hair danced wildly. His whole body surged with divine power like a vast ocean, galloping through the 9 heavens, shaking the vast sky. Like an enraged lion, Bailey Jinghong possessed the innate holy veins and had peerless talent. Looking across the massive 3,000 Dao realms, very few could match him. He was the pinned hope for the rise of the Bailey family. Given time, he would certainly achieve the body of a sacred ancestor, and was expected to lead the Bailey family to advance into the ranks of immortality families. But unexpectedly, such a figure actually died in the first stage of the assessment. This made it hard for them to accept. Dare to kill the prince of my ancient knight dynasty. No matter who it is, they must pay a price in blood. My Helian family will absolutely not let this go. The forces behind Gu Xiao and Helian Chung were equally furious beyond control. Their most outstanding disciples died by the hands of the little demon king, and they could not easily let it go. No matter the little demon king's background, he must bear their wrath. The experts of the 3 major forces unconsciously released a vigorous aura like mountains, making almost everyone around suffocate. Within the crowd, only the people from the Shao clan felt incomparable lingering fear, especially Xiao Aoran and Xiao Aochuan. Only now did they know to what extent that little demon king was actually powerful. Even geniuses of the soul fusion realm died tragically by his hands, unable to even escape. Thinking about it now, the lives of the two of them were simply picked back up. The force capable of nurturing the little demon king is absolutely no ordinary one. When the assessment ends, I'm afraid there will be towering waves. Soon. Just don't know if that little demon king will enter the second stage. Many people discussed animatedly in private. The 3 major forces, Bailey family, Helian family, and ancient knight dynasty, combined together. Aside from the various holy lands, great sects, aristocratic families, and divine dynasties, they have nothing to fear. And the people behind that little demon king, I'm afraid, will also appear by then. At that time there will likely be an incomparably terrifying contest. It might not necessarily break into a fight. This is the ancient heaven sect. No one dares to act presumptuously. Someone shook their head and said this. But soon someone raised a different viewpoint. The little demon king doesn't have an assessment tally. Entering the battle dragon's secret realm itself doesn't comply with the rules. Even the ancient heaven sect, I'm afraid, won't find it easy to say much, unless they want to accept the little demon king as a disciple. But even so, they must certainly give the 3 major forces an explanation. For a time the crowd outside the battle dragon's secret realm was in an uproar, lasting for a long time. Everyone was waiting for the assessment to end, for the storm to gather the moment the little demon king comes out of the battle dragon's secret realm. And during this period, regarding the deaths of Bailey Jinghong, Helian Chung, and Gu Xiao, more details also slowly spread out. The results they heard once again made countless people's expressions shake drastically. Cries of exclamation rang out everywhere. What? The new extreme limit of the divine wheel realm. was established exactly by that little demon king? What he cultivated was the sole divine wheel. An ancient palace appeared in the secret realm, and inside there was vermilion bird essence blood, ting serpent essence blood, and several imperial weapons. Bailey Jinghong used a tier 8 array disc to deal with the little demon king. 4 soul fusion realm cultivators entered the formation, yet they were still counter-killed by him. The reversal of a tier 8 formation didn't manage to kill him. How is this possible? He has a jade pendant on his body. Unknown what kind of divine treasure it is that protected him safely and flawlessly. Detail after detail. Listening to them made everyone extremely horrified. The sole divine wheel, the divine treasures in the ancient palace. All of this made people incomparably shocked, unable to believe this was real. Furthermore, the might of a tier 8 formation reversing and self-destructing is something even experts of the heavenly evolution realm would have to weigh carefully. A small child of about 2 years old, even if wearing imperial weapon battle armor, under the circumstance of cultivation base lacking too much, would also be virtually impossible to withstand it. It's not hard to imagine. The jade pendant on the little demon king's body must be an extremely powerful divine treasure. Just don't know exactly what grade it is. Thinking of this, more people suddenly felt that the little child's origins were perhaps far more terrifying than they imagined. Therefore many people couldn't help but worry for the Bailey family, Hellion family and ancient Knight dynasty. In case a behemoth that had been hidden for countless years appeared, they might not be able to cope. But not long after, a brand new situation spread out again. No need to think about it. That little demon king is absolutely not a disciple of some supreme force. He probably comes from a demonic force. That's right. Bailey Jinghong's innate holy veins were devoured away by him. This is an out-and-out demonic method, someone said firmly. At the same time, the people of the Bailey family, Hellion family, and ancient Knight dynasty were cursing on one hand and sneering repeatedly on the other. Damnable person of the demonic path. They actually sneaked into the ancient heaven sex assessment and killed several young geniuses of our clans. Simply audacious as thieves. The ancient heaven sect is the Frost Heavenly Emperor's sect. If he really is a person from the demonic path, since he came here, then don't even think about leaving alive. If I don't skin him and pull out his tendons, it will be hard to quell the hatred in this old man's heart. By this time, the people of the 3 major forces no longer had any scruples. The little demon king originated from the demonic path, so they could attack without mercy, making him pay blood with blood. In fact, they had already reported this news to the ancient heaven sect elders guarding here. After hearing the news, the 7 elders changed color simultaneously. A massive upheaval has occurred in the Battle Dragon secret realm. The sacred array has suffered damage. I'm afraid someone has barged into that great tomb. This matter is not something we can resolve. Quickly report to the sect master and supreme elders, and invite several sacred ancestors to go check. After the 7 elders learned the specific situation, their expressions were incomparably solemn, saying privately through voice transmission. Subsequently, they left 2 people to stay behind and guard here, while the remaining 5 instantly turned into phantoms, disappearing from their spots. The ancient heaven sect exploded in a frenzy, brewing a massive storm. Meanwhile, inside the Battle Dragon secret realm, Murongsu after all still failed to escape Jiang Yuxian's pursuit, his head severed by a single sword strike from him. If you had teleported out earlier, you could have lived a little longer. Seeking your own demise, you just had to drill into a place like this yourself. It seems even heaven wants to take you. Looking at Murongsu's corpse, Jiang Yuxian muttered softly to himself. He knew Murongsu originally didn't want to give up the assessment, attempting to shake off his pursuit. The 2, one chasing and one fleeing blindly, arrived at this current location. But what was unexpected was, this place actually harbored an inexplicable great terror. In the surrounding space, an unprovoked, peerlessly ferocious coercion permeated, like 100,000 massive mountains, directly knocking Murongsu down from the high sky, making him feel as if trapped in a quagmire. His movements becoming extremely slow. At that time Jiang Yuxian's figure also swayed. It was just that when the qi and blood in his body circulated fiercely, he neutralized all the auras, walking on the void as if on flat ground. Seeing this, Murongsu couldn't help but feel his heart die. At the final moment, he had no choice but to activate the tally, wanting to leave. However, that tally merely ignited a flash of strong light. And then an invisible power in the void fluctuated out, shredding the sky full of runes into powder. The spatial passage failed to open. Murongsu's teleportation failed. He thus lost his life as well. This place seems a bit unusual. Jiang Yuxian raised an eyebrow, no longer paying attention to Murongsu. The coercion in this space, he could equally feel. It was as if in that nothingness, there was a supreme existence, sitting quietly and gazing. The powerful force affected the entire heaven and earth. Anyone setting foot here would inevitably be like Murongsu, completely unable to fly in the air. Even trekking on the ground would be extremely difficult. However, Jiang Yuxian was not in this category. My body flows with my mom's heavenly emperor bloodline. Ordinary suppressive forces are completely useless to me. To make me exert my full bloodline power to resist it. This place is absolutely extraordinary. Could it be, might there be some great treasure? Jiang Yuxian's eyes widened abruptly. Thinking like this, if it were really as he guessed, the things here would definitely be even more than those in that previous palace. Even more formidable. He thought no more, and immediately rode the golden-winged Great Peng Rune, soaring back into the high sky, planning to observe a bit. However, before flying far, he heard a burst of shouting from below. "Boss! Quick, help us! We're almost dead from exhaustion." Wasn't it exactly Hui Shou Tao, Feng Wuchou, Qin Yushi and the others? Seeing them, Jiang Yuxian felt amused. He didn't expect this bunch of guys actually followed all the way here. Jiang Yuxian did not hesitate, directly landing in a valley, to converge with the group. At this time they were each sticking their tongues out, panting heavily. Obviously, under the shroud of that terrifying power, their advancement was also extremely difficult. Seeing Jiang Yuxian acting like nothing was wrong, Hui Shou Tao and the others all stared wide-eyed, their expressions shocked. "Boss, how come you are fine?" Hui Shou Tao asked like this. The corners of Jiang Yuxian's mouth curled up, and he replied indifferently. "Perhaps my handsomeness shakes heaven and earth, and shocks the past and dazzles the present. Even the 3,000 great Daos can't suppress it, right?" Hearing this, the group wished they could vomit 3 liters of blood. "How big of a thing are you, to have your handsomeness shake heaven and earth? Could you have some shame?" Feng Wuchou was also silent for a long while, and suddenly spoke gloomily. "What is this place exactly?" It actually formed a natural array momentum. Qin Yushi beside him also nodded. As everyone knows, the so-called natural array momentum is vastly different from ordinary formations. Generally speaking, it's either naturally evolved from heaven and earth, such as earth dragon veins, or there exists some powerful artifact or creature, whose own inherent power naturally emanates, capable of changing heaven and earth. But no matter which kind it is extremely extraordinary. After all, wanting to form a natural array momentum is absolutely not achieved by ordinary power. And obviously, we are only at the outermost periphery. Just set foot in it. Yet moving around is already so exhausting. Unimaginable. The source of this power. What kind of terrifying existence it actually is. The hair on her forehead was damp, sweat sliding down her jade-like cheeks. Jiang Yuxian rolled his eyes. "Since you know, then why stay here? Hurry up and get out." Of course he knew this place was extraordinary, but he didn't plan on just charging headlong into it either. Even if there was some treasure inside, having the ancient heaven sect people bring him here next time, wouldn't that be much easier? However, next, Hui Shou Tao's words made Jiang Yuxian directly pause for a moment. "Don't, boss. There's a gorge ahead. You should quickly go over and take a look. Who knows what treasures might be inside? We were far away earlier, and saw a group of people pass through the gorge and disappear. We originally wanted to follow and see. Who would have thought we'd get stuck here?" The others also nodded. They came together, and naturally saw that scene. What surprised them the most was, those people were actually like Jiang Yuxian, completely unaffected by the natural array momentum. Such words made Jiang Yuxian gradually go silent. In an instant many thoughts flashed through his mind. Even I have to fully circulate my bloodline to ignore that terrifying suppressive force. Unexpectedly, there's actually a group of people who easily entered this place. His gaze couldn't help but narrow. In an instant scene after scene flashed before his eyes. On the opposite shore of Biling Lake, that sacred array was damaged in one corner. In that palace earlier, the restrictions outside the many ultimate treasures had also appeared damaged. And now, Another group of people ignored the pressure of the natural array momentum and walked into this place. All this manifested some ulterior secret. Those people are absolutely targeting the Battle Dragon's secret realm. They sneaked in taking advantage of this assessment. Just don't know what they are after. Feng Wuchou said thus. By this point, he and Jiang Yuxian had the same deduction. Where is that gorge? Take me to see it. Jiang Yuxian raised his eyebrows, his voice becoming deep. The ancient heaven sex things were not something just anyone could touch. Since he saw it, then he must naturally go and find out. While speaking, Jiang Yuxian's inner spiritual energy circulated, directly injected into the jade pendant on his collar. Suddenly a hazy light rippled out, turning into a 3-zhong-sized light shield, enclosing Feng Wuchou, Hui Shoutao, Han Xian, and the others. All inside. In an instant, the group only felt their whole bodies relax, their auras flowing smoothly. That terrifying power could no longer affect them in the slightest. Boss, this treasure of yours. Looking at that jade pendant, Hui Shoutao was about to drool. He had witnessed the might of this jade pendant. The reversed power of a Tier 8 formation could be easily withstood. Now an endlessly vast aura permeated from it, neutralizing the coercion of the natural array momentum. This was absolutely an otherworldly ultimate treasure. Hui Shoutao's eyes went straight. Jiang Yuxian slapped him on the back of the head, then activated the golden-winged Great Peng Rune. Flapping his wings, whipping up a gust of wind, he flew high up into the sky. Under Jiang Yuxian's lead, the group soared into the high sky. Observing carefully, they quickly got a rough view of the surrounding environment. In that distant place, as far as the eye could see, was a vastly boundless circular mountain range. But the situation in the center of the ring was hazy, hard to see clearly. It was just that as the distance grew closer, everyone clearly saw that above the mountain range, bursts of divine energy roared, turning into surging energy tides, shifting into countless magnificent and grand spectacles. That terrifying energy tide surged through the 9 heavens, giving rise to incomparably divine and mighty giant dragons. Every giant dragon had bulging muscles, all like a great wall of steel, like mountain ridges spanning across the void, releasing an extremely ferocious sense of power. At the same time, in the surrounding space it sounded as if the Tao's celestial music was singing, intoxicating people, almost making them indulge in it. This natural array momentum is indeed terrifying, Jiang Yuxian muttered to himself. At this time the light shield formed by the jade pendant seemed to even show some extremely slight distortions. It was enough to see that the thing deep within the circular mountain range was exactly how formidable the gorge Hui Shoutao mentioned was not far away. Not long after, the group descended from the void. Before their eyes 2 myriad sheer cliffs stood tall, leaving only a passage slightly more than a zhang wide. This passage originally also had restrictions, and actually also appears damaged. Feng Wuchou spoke out. They all saw that the power of restrictions remained on the stone walls. It was just that right now it was already destroyed, with a gap appearing big enough for 2 people to walk side by side. Jiang Yuxian's gaze was solemn. All this verified his and Feng Wuchou's guess. Someone else destroyed the restriction and barged into here. I really want to see exactly what kind of people dare to even touch my ancient heaven sex things. Jiang Yuxian suddenly sneered, his voice becoming extremely cold. Rolling auras of slaughter permeated from his small body. Feng Wuchou, Qin Yushi, and the others looked at him in surprise. You were originally a disciple of the ancient heaven sect? Hui Shoutao's eyes widened like brass bells. As he asked this, Jiang Yuxian did not answer, taking the lead to charge into the gorge. Little fellow, be careful. Those people able to barge all the way here must possess extraordinary methods. You absolutely must not act recklessly. Qin Yushi hastily reminded from behind. Jiang Yuxian ignored her. Unless another heavenly emperor came. Otherwise in this world, there really wasn't anyone worth his fear. He walked straight ahead. However, the truth was just as Qin Yushi said. When Jiang Yuxian charged across a distance of 1,000 zhang and arrived at the other end of the gorge, suddenly, a terrifying roar wildly attacked towards him. This was the roar of a fierce tiger, like the cry of a giant beast from the primordial era, nearly wanting to shatter one's divine soul. At the same time, a palm reached out, 5 fingers forming a claw, grabbing directly towards his throat. There really are people. Jiang Yuxian's eyes flickered. Without thinking, the soul divine wheel swept across and clashed fiercely with that hand claw, accompanied by a loud boom echoing out. The figure opposite stumbled backwards a few steps, his face full of shock. Only then did Jiang Yuxian see the situation here clearly. This was a bizarre and colorful space. Mountains rolled, birds sang and flowers bloomed. The spiritual energy was so dense it seemed to drip water. In the mountain forest not far away, a divine spring gurgled and flowed, spouting out golden lotuses. Extraordinarily miraculous. This place was like a pure land. What made people feel even more terrified was the surrounding cliff faces were like white marble, carrying a hazy luster, like the purest crystal marrow in the world. Precious medicines rooted themselves quietly upon them, permeating with incomparably dazzling light. The precious medicines swayed gently, as if they could communicate with the great Tao of heaven and earth, permeating Tao rhythm, flowing with intangible principles. Holy medicines. So many holy medicines. Those stone walls are all immortal jade spirit marrow. Feng Wuqiu and the others arrived subsequently. After seeing this scene, they couldn't help but cry out involuntarily. At a glance, at least over a dozen holy medicines were growing, and imperial-grade, king-grade precious medicines were even more countless. Just what could be seen were at least hundreds or thousands. The most shocking thing was, those stone walls were actually all formed from immortal jade spirit marrow. Those were mountains upon mountains. Simply too terrifying. This was absolutely a divine land. To actually grow so many ultimate treasures. Without a doubt, the divine spring on the ground was also absolutely a divine object extremely rarely seen in the world. It was just that at this time, there were 6 young boys and girls, standing in front of a giant cave entrance in the distance, coldly gazing at them. The one who just attacked Jiang Yuxian was one of them, a sturdily built youth. You actually followed us all the way here. Since you're here, then all of you die here. The sturdy youth spoke in a cold voice. His figure leaped into the air, like a fierce tiger soaring through the void, and once again pounced to kill towards Jiang Yuxian. Roar! A terrifying roaring sound issued from his throat, shaking people's divine souls. At the same time, the youth's head directly turned into a white tiger head. Its bloody maw opened wide, whipping up a storm in the void, wanting to swallow Jiang Yuxian in one bite. Demon race. They are people of the demon race. Feng Wuqiu yelled from behind. The rest also changed their expressions. The demon race. That was an incomparably powerful race. Like the human race, they equally belonged to the supreme creatures of the great wilderness realm. The human race occupied the 3,000 Tao realms, and ruled territory separated from the demon race. The territories between the two were not completely isolated, but interlocked like dog's teeth. In that distant era, the human race and the demon race warred endlessly, slaughtering without stop. It's just that in these recent years, the two had lived almost in peace with each other. Well water not interfering with river water. Previously there might still be small-scale conflicts, but since the Frost Heavenly Emperor became emperor, the demon race had not invaded the human race in the slightest anymore. Normally there would be almost no entanglement, but Feng Wuqiu Huishou Tao and the others never imagined. Today inside the secret realm of the ancient heaven sect, they actually saw the demon race. They sneaked into here, traveling all the way, and destroyed many formations and restrictions. Without a doubt, they absolutely had a massive scheme. You have to know the ancient heaven sect is the sect where the Frost Heavenly Emperor was located. Scheming here was no different from dancing on the tip of a blade. With the slightest carelessness, they would die a violent death. Truly don't know what exactly they want. Demon race, huh? No matter who you are, daring to target my ancient heaven sect, then you must prepare for death. Such thoughts flashed past Jiang Yuxian's heart. The power in his entire body surged out like a tidal wave. 840 million giant elephant particles roared simultaneously. That terrifying prestige was 10,000 times more terrifying than the white tiger youth's roar opposite. Kill! Jiang Yuxian shouted, a straight punch fiercely blasting out. Peerless power heavily smashed onto that massive tiger head. As two sounds echoed out, that massive white tiger head's bones shattered. The white tiger youth let out a miserable scream. Cultivating the god-elephant suppressing prison force made Jiang Yuxian's physical body peerless in the world, unmatched by anyone within the same realm. Divine power rolled in his body, like a vast oceanic tide, surging fiercely, erupting entirely. It poured entirely onto that white tiger youth's head. With a bang! A patch of dazzling strong light shone forth. The white tiger youth was fiercely smashed flying, crashing heavily onto the ground not far away, smashing out a crater. Puff! A blood arrow spurted from the white tiger youth's mouth. He tumbled several times before stopping his body. That massive tiger head slowly reverted to its original human form. In just an instant, his face turned completely pale. What was more terrifying was, his frontal bone showed a hideous depression, twisted and dislocated. Extremely unnatural. The white tiger youth propped himself on the ground with his hands, half squatting there, viciously staring at Jiang Yuxian, his eyes full of disbelief. And such a scene also made the rest of the people present extremely shocked, especially the other 5 youths of the demon race, who were even more horrified to the extreme. How is this possible? Hu Shan's physical body among all the demon race should be at the absolute pinnacle. But he was actually injured by a small child. Among the human race, how could there be someone with such a formidable physical body? Pairs of eyes widened greatly, unable to believe what they saw before them. Also being demon race, they naturally knew how terrifying a white tiger's physical body was. Looking across the massive race, purely speaking in terms of physical strength, one simply couldn't find many who could be mentioned in the same breath. But right now, Hu Shan was actually injured by a tiny little child of the human race, with a single strike. How could this make people believe? Your true form is a white tiger? Your physical body is actually quite strong. You actually didn't die from one punch. At this time Jiang Yuxian suddenly raised his eyebrows and said in surprise. And his words made the group fall into silence. This small child was actually not quite satisfied. He even wanted to punch Hu Shan to death with one hit. Where exactly did this confidence come from? Jiang Yuxian paid no mind to everyone's gazes. The exchange just now allowed him to roughly figure out Hu Shan's foundation. He reckoned these people from the demon race were all around 17 or 18 years old, each with peerless talent. Their overall strength compared to Bailey Jinghong Helian Chung and the others was even slightly stronger. In order to sneak into the ancient heaven sex assessment, were they specially selected demon race geniuses? Jiang Yuxian knew. The formation at the entrance of the Battle Dragon secret realm could test bone age. Anyone whose age exceeded the requirement could not enter. Since these demons were able to sneak in, they definitely underwent screening. Just don't know through what methods. They concealed their identity as demon race. Regarding this question, Jiang Yuxian didn't think much about it. As his voice fell, his figure explosively rose again, launching a renewed attack towards Hu Shan. Hu Shan, you step back for now. I will finish them. Suddenly, another youth among the demon race spoke in a sinister voice. But before he could take any action, he saw Hu Shan had already let out a roar and met that small figure head-on. I was just careless right now. This time I will tear him to shreds. Hu Shan's gaze was gloomy, emitting an incomparably terrifying tiger roar from his mouth. Roar! The void rolled up layers of ripples. Vast power fluctuated out, piercing straight into the divine soul, destroying everything. As if wanting to wipe a person's consciousness completely blank, Hu Shan's figure soared, pouncing to kill swiftly and fiercely. While advancing, his body shape changed, turning into a fierce tiger. He revealed his true form, a massive white tiger, like a small mountain, with imposing might, and a chilling fierce aura. A front claw even larger than a door panel, glowing with strong light pressed down fiercely. In comparison, Jiang Yuxian's figure seemed extremely tiny, but he merely sneered coldly. You think I'm going to compare physical bodies with you again? A mockery surfaced on Jiang Yuxian's lips. Without knowing when, that imperial weapon long sword appeared in his hand again. He activated the Xing character secret, his figure shifting slightly, evading the pressing strike of the tiger claw. Subsequently, the long sword in his hand faced the pouncing white tiger, and he fiercely slashed down. A dazzling sword light lit up, peerlessly sharp, its sharpness unstoppable. With a puff sound, it sliced off a massive tiger claw. A rain of blood sprinkled down. Roar! Hu Shan cried out in pain endlessly, immediately retreating in panic. In his pair of tiger eyes was written full of hatred. This big tiger trotter isn't bad. It can be roasted. Jiang Yuxian kicked the severed tiger claw backwards with one foot, and it was caught in Han Xian's arms. It was a circle bigger than his whole person. He carried the sword, and continued to step out into the void, wanting to cut Hu Shan down beneath his sword. And at this moment, the remaining few of the demon race all revealed some solemnity. Hu Shan fall back quickly. You are not his opponent. The only young girl in the group shouted daintily. She wore a red robe covering her body, her waist slender. As her figure swayed, she was as agile as a water snake. Lang Chuan, you hold the demon god bone scissors. Go and take him down. Kill the others as well. The young master has been in the Emperor's tomb for quite a while now. It won't be long. I presume the Emperor Bloodstone will be obtained. At this time there cannot be any accidents. Settle this quickly. Understand? The young girl shouted softly. Beside her another youth, whose eyes glowed with a dark green light, nodded heavily. And hearing these words, Jiang Yuxian Feng Wuchou Qin Yushi and their group couldn't help but have their eyelids twitch violently. What did this young girl just mention? Emperor's tomb? There is actually a heavenly emperor's tomb here. For a time everyone was extremely shocked. They had long heard that within the Battle Dragon's secret realm, a figure with heaven-reaching abilities was buried. But who dared to imagine? It was actually a deceased heavenly emperor. There is an emperor's tomb here. No wonder when they were outside, they could feel the terrifying natural array momentum from far away. That was the power released by the heavenly emperor's corpse. Even though they had been dead for countless years, they still carried an inviolable power. It was just unknown what exactly these people from the demon race relied on to be able to reach this place. In just an instant, the gazes of Feng Wuchou Hui Shoutao and the others couldn't help but look towards the direction behind the several demons. There was a pitch-black cave there, and one simply couldn't see clearly what was inside at all. Without a doubt, this cave was the path leading to the Emperor's tomb. Moreover, people from the demon race had already entered it. Emperor Bloodstone. Jiang Yuxian also caught onto this specific term. He didn't know what exactly the Emperor Bloodstone was, but with the word Emperor added to it, it was absolutely no ordinary item. The group from the demon race came exactly for this. The demon race's scheme is indeed massive, Feng Wuchou said in a deep voice. And at this time, that demon youth with dark light flickering in his eyes had already stepped out. In his hands he held a pair of golden sparkling bone scissors, permeating with incomparably terrifying power. This pair of bone scissors was one of the ultimate treasures of the demon race. It was refined using the bones of a half-stepped demon emperor. Its greatest function lay in breaking through various arrays and restrictions. Unless personally laid down by a heavenly emperor expert, there was nothing it couldn't break open. At the same time, these bone scissors were also a powerful offensive holy weapon. A bunch of ignorant humans. Since you followed us all the way here, then go die all of you. Lang Chuan spoke with a sinister smile. The bone scissors in his hand were suddenly tossed high into the sky. Between heaven and earth it was as if a blazing sun had risen. With a loud boom, like a blazing sun suppressing down upon this space, those bone scissors released a dazzling light, stinging the eyes of Jiang Yuxian Feng Wuchou and the others until they ached. This was refined from the bones of a half-stepped demon emperor. It was an extremely powerful weapon. Solely in terms of offensive power, it was absolutely not inferior to ordinary holy weapons. Under Lang Chuan's manipulation, those bone scissors permeated an extremely ferocious power, rolling layer upon layer, descending from the void, carrying a divine and mighty force like an immemorial divine mountain, suppressing down towards Jiang Yuxian. Big brother, be careful. Retreat quickly. In the rear, Hui Shoutao Feng Wuchou and the others were terrified to death, and hastily warned him. Jiang Yuxian only had a few imperial weapons in his hands. It was simply impossible to contend with a holy object. If he was suppressed by those bone scissors, it would certainly be a scenario of certain death. However, Jiang Yuxian only gave a disdainful laugh at this. Comparable to a holy weapon? Looks like I still have to rely on Mom. He snatched the jade pendant from his neck and threw it towards those bone scissors. A heaven-shaking, earth-shattering massive aura abruptly erupted, turning into a violent wind and giant waves, sweeping out in all directions. The terrifying aura shocked the 9 heavens above, and shook the 9 netherworlds below, as if wanting to turn this world completely upside down. Such power was like the raging waves of an angry sea, surging outwards. In the blink of an eye, it crushed the divine power of those bone scissors into nothingness. Subsequently, the entire bone scissors let out a humming wail, like an egg with a cracked shell. Crack after crack appeared on it. The divine light over its entire body also instantly dimmed, and it crashed to the ground like a piece of scrap. This. Lang Chuan's sinister smile froze on his face. He clearly sensed that those bone scissors no longer had the slightest bit of power. This powerful artifact was ruined. How could this be? The group of demons were all extremely horrified. Along their way here, how many restrictions and arrays had they broken relying on the bone scissors? Yet the moment it touched the power of that jade pendant, it was actually instantly suppressed into scrap. How could this make people accept it? What exactly is that thing? Lang Chuan, Hushan, and the other demon youths and girls all stared blankly at the high sky. Upon that jade pendant fluctuated an absolutely formidable aura, as if it could completely suppress this entire world. Facing such an aura, the power within their bodies couldn't even circulate. Being completely frozen, their entire bodies couldn't even move a single bit, almost wanting to grovel on the ground. It seems your tricks end here. Since that's the case, it's my turn to go on a killing spree. Jiang Yuxian sneered repeatedly, carrying his long sword and striking out across the void. While Lang Chuan was still in a daze, he pierced his chest with a single sword strike. These were people of the demon race, infiltrating the ancient heaven sect with ulterior motives. Jiang Yuxian would not have the slightest bit of mercy. Jiang Yuxian pulled his sword out, and accompanied by a shower of blood, Lang Chuan's corpse transformed, turning into a massive green wolf lying on the ground. Such a scene made the hearts and gallbladders of the other demon youths and girls tremble. At this very moment, they simply couldn't mount any effective resistance. Jiang Yuxian glared sideways, and a great desolation, heaven-imprisoning finger descended from the sky, pressing onto Hushan's body. Hushan was directly pressed into a massive deep pit. His internal organs were almost entirely shattered into powder, and blood gushed wildly from his mouth. Too terrifying. The demons were frightened out of their wits. We absolutely cannot let them barge into the Emperor's tomb. We will resist them here with all our might. Nyo-he, hurry into the Emperor's tomb and notify the young master. The red-robed young girl shouted daintily. Under her instructions, a youth looking like a wild bull immediately turned around, about to charge into the cave entrance behind him. They had encountered a massive unforeseen event here. This little human child possessed an incomparably formidable ultimate treasure, which caused a suppression upon them. This matter had to be reported to the young master as soon as possible, in case of further changes. However, right at this moment, a flash of light and shadow was seen at the cave entrance, and two figures materialized. The leading youth had a nose tip as sharp as an eagle's beak. He wore a garment of feathers, as if woven from the plumes of some divine bird. It gleamed with a cold light, looking like it was forged from divine iron. This youth was exactly the leader of the demon race group. His original name was Yao Qie. Seeing them appear, Jiang Yuxian's movements also paused for a moment. His gaze fell upon the youth's hands. At this time he was holding a crimson object. It looked just like a lump of dirt, but it glowed with a blinding scarlet light, as if dyed with fresh blood. An extremely terrifying aura of slaughter and execution assaulted the face. Emperor Bloodstone. Jiang Yuxian had no trouble guessing that this lump of dirt was the Emperor Bloodstone. The demon race spared no cost to infiltrate the ancient heaven sect. Exactly for this item. Young master. Seeing the youth appear, the remaining 4 demons were instantly overjoyed. What happened? The moment Yao Qie appeared, his gaze swept across like an eagle looking back like a wolf. And then he spoke in a deep voice. In just a few words, the red-robed young girl informed him of the situation they had encountered. Yao Qie's eyes glowed with endless cold light. Earlier in that palace, it seems it was these people who followed. Now they've actually barged in here. Since you are courting death, then this young master will grant your wish. A cruel curve appeared at the corner of Yao Qie's mouth. Suddenly a palm-sized tortoise shell flew out from his body. This tortoise shell actually ignored the suppressive force brought by the jade pendant. It expanded with the wind, and then like a stretch of the heavens, suppressed down towards Jiang Yuxian. A profound aura like a tide permeated everywhere. At this moment, even Jiang Yuxian felt boundless pressure. He couldn't catch his breath at all, almost suffocating. The spiritual energy within his body was also firmly suppressed, unable to be mobilized in the slightest. Such a situation, compared to when the several demons faced the jade pendant earlier, had no difference at all. Behind him Feng Wuchou, Hui Shou Tao, and the others were in an even more wretched state. Each and every one of them trembled all over, as if Mount Tai was pressing down on their heads. Their spines were bent, on the verge of snapping. Emperor weapon. On these people from the demon race. They actually brought an emperor weapon. Jiang Yuxian spoke in astonishment. He looked at that tortoise shell, extremely surprised. That was absolutely the aura of an emperor weapon. Its power was practically no different from his mom's heavenly frost sword. And hearing his words, Feng Wuqiu Hui Shoutao Qin Yushi, and the others were all boundlessly panicked. It's over. On these little bastards from the demon race. How could they have an emperor weapon? The group screamed wildly in their hearts, completely unable to speak. They couldn't imagine. These demons were just a group of youths and girls. Why did they bring an emperor weapon? When coming to the battle dragon secret realm? Was it merely for that emperor bloodstone? What heaven-defying use did that lump of dirt actually have? Rumble. Just as everyone's thoughts raced like lightning, that tortoise shell descended through the void. Divine energy surged mightily. The patterns on the tortoise shell lit up one by one, like carvings of the great Tao, composing the most mysterious laws and principles, crisscrossing and intertwining. They seemed able to elucidate the myriad true meanings of the world, and could also obliterate all laws, destroying all things. In an instant Feng Wuqiu and the others all smelled the aura of death. Under the might of an emperor weapon, they didn't have the slightest chance of escaping alive. And in front of the group, Jiang Yuxian also let out a long sigh. Damn it, these grandsons have no martial ethics. He then looked up at that jade pendant above. Mom! I can't quite hold them off right now. At this moment the demons sneered endlessly. They infiltrated the battle dragon secret realm, coming for the Emperor Bloodstone. At this time they had even successfully obtained it. Word of this matter absolutely must not leak out. Otherwise, even if they managed to escape, in the future that female emperor of the human race would inevitably personally charge into the demon race, to demand it back with her own hands. Right now the demon race had no emperor, and was fundamentally unable to resist. Therefore these humans before them, not a single one could be left alive. They must all die here. It was just that. None of them managed to hear the sentence Jiang Yuxian muttered. Mom! I can't quite hold them off right now. Watching that emperor weapon tortoise shell shaking the void as it descended, Jiang Yuxian muttered softly. The jade pendant above released an imperishable light. And as Jiang Yuxian's voice fell, as if receiving a formless resonance, suddenly, an incomparably brilliant burst of divine light shot out. This space was entirely submerged. A domineering heaven and earth-rending aura abruptly appeared. Divine energy was like an ocean. Divine might was like a prison. Dazzling brilliance rippled, permeating every inch of space. Everyone present experienced a momentary blindness. When their vision was restored once again, everyone was greatly shocked and lost their color. They saw that in the middle of the field, a woman's figure stood towering. Her head touched the blue sky. Her feet stepped on the earth. The woman's long dress fluttered. Her entire body was wreathed in Tao rhythm, and divine laws boiled. Endless laws, principles and true meanings of the great Tao spiraled around her, setting her off as if she were a deity. Rumble! With the appearance of the woman, that emperor weapon tortoise shell shook the void as it descended, striking right down at her head. The terrifying aura smoked the heavens and scorched the earth, as if it could suppress the entire vast universe in one fell swoop. The woman did not speak. She slightly raised her beautiful eyebrows. Abruptly she raised a palm, and pressed lightly. It was as if a stretch of the blue sky had fallen down. Heaven and earth quaked massively. The vast universe trembled and buzzed. That tortoise shell was just like that pressed into her palm, completely unable to advance even a fraction more. Whether it was the demons, or Feng Wuqiu Hui Shoutao Qin Yushi and the others, all were shocked by this scene to an indescribable degree. Pairs of eyes widened like brass bells, catching an emperor weapon barehanded. Ththtth this is. Qin Yushi's beautiful face lost its color, as she voiced out in shock. They saw the divine power surging between the woman's 5 fingers, turning into peerlessly ferocious shackles, tightly locking that emperor weapon tortoise shell, right in the center of her palm. In just an instant, the sky-filling pressure receded like a tide, allowing them to regain their freedom of movement. But at this moment, no one cared about this point. Pairs of gazes stared blankly straight at that deity-like woman's figure, full of terror and awe. Dharma body. There's a Dharma body inside that jade pendant. Among the demon race, The group of youths and girls all cried out in alarm. They had already seen that the woman was a Dharma body left behind by an expert, sealed inside the jade pendant. This. How is this possible? No matter how powerful a Dharma body is, how could it catch an emperor weapon? The demon race's red-robed young girl's eyes quivered as she spoke in disbelief. In the current world, an emperor is supreme, suppressing the ages. The power they possess is absolutely not something any living creature can resist. Even a ninth heaven's sacred ancestor, in front of a heavenly emperor, is just like an ant. Even if it's just an emperor weapon, once activated, an ordinary sacred ancestor couldn't possibly shake it. And that tortoise shell was a true and veritable emperor weapon. It was created many years ago, refined by an ancient emperor of the demon race using his own shed shell. It possessed the power to destroy the world and suppress the 3,000 great Daos. But now it was actually caught by a Dharma body. That woman, who exactly is she? She is the heavenly emperor of the human race. Opposite them, Yao Qiye's throat rolled for a long time before he spat out these words. Unspeakable terror filled his heart. His voice trembled, and his entire body shook like a sieve. What? She is the Frost Heavenly Emperor. Following Yao Qiye's reminder, Feng Wuchou Qin, Yushi Han Xian, and the others all couldn't help but exclaim aloud. And the rest of the demon race were all trembling in their hearts, almost collapsing to the ground. That woman was actually the Dharma body of the Frost Heavenly Emperor, the sole Heavenly Emperor of the current world. This truth left everyone utterly shocked and horrified to the extreme. How could Boss have the Frost Heavenly Emperor's Dharma body on him? At this very moment, Han Xianyang, Xiao Feng Wuchou, and the others were full of questions in their heads regarding their reactions. That tall woman's Dharma body showed no indication at all. Gripping the tortoise shell with one hand, she glanced around slightly, her gaze evidently pausing in a daze. Dragon Emperor's tomb? Yuxian, why did you run into the Battle Dragon secret realm? Su Qingshuang spoke in a daze, her voice ringing out like immortal music. She looked at Jiang Yuxian, looking at his mom's Dharma body. Jiang Yuxian chuckled, hee. I'm here to participate in the ancient heaven sex assessment, of course. He was heard saying this. Su Qingshuang was dazed again, and then revealed a bitter smile. Weren't you in closed-door cultivation? What assessment are you running here to take? You little rascal. When will you ever let people have peace of mind? She massaged her forehead with her other hand, feeling a bit of a headache. Jiang Yuxian rubbed his hands and chuckled hee again. But right at this moment, Su Qingshuang's beautiful eyes suddenly focused, and she swept her gaze over. Under her gaze, the body of the leading youth of the demon race abruptly rippled out an absolutely formidable aura. Vigorous energy manifested into a phantom around him. It took the shape of a divine tortoise, like an immemorial deity. It entrenched itself between heaven and earth, supreme and unmatched. A tortoise's cry resonated, releasing a majesty that obliterated everything. Rumble! The sky shattered because of it. The earth split because of it. A dense aura of death surged outwards. This space of singing birds and fragrant flowers seemed as if it were experiencing the apocalypse. Crumbling continuously, mountains formed of immortal jade spirit marrow exploded, sending shattered rocks rolling. Precious medicines swayed one by one, their vitality and medicinal power beginning to drain. A demon emperor's remnant soul. Seeing this, Su Qingshuang's eyebrows twitched again, her gaze shifting horizontally. The demon emperor's remnant soul, just like the emperor weapon tortoise shell, also originated from that ancient emperor of the demon race. However, that ancient emperor had long died for countless years. But even so, a remnant soul of his still possessed unparalleled power. In an instant, a burst of vigorous light surged outwards, wrapping Yao Qiye and the other youths and girls all inside it. The surrounding space suffered severe erosion. At the same time, that giant tortoise phantom suddenly opened its mouth and spat out a pillar of light. Like a heavenly deity raising a sword, it pierced straight into the void. The heavenly emperor's power permeating from Su Qingshuang's Dharma body was directly pierced and broken by this pillar of light. An incomparably pitch-black opening appeared in the void, as if it could connect to the 9 heavens above and the 9 netherworlds below, carried by the demon emperor's remnant soul. Yao Qiye and the others were about to throw themselves into it, to escape through the spatial passage. An old turtle dead for so many years still dares to act fierce in front of this emperor. Su Qingshuang spoke softly. carrying a supreme and domineering majesty. While Su Qingshuang spoke, another palm was fiercely pressed down. At this moment the great Tao revolved. Divine laws boiled. An incomparably terrifying palm of light manifested, stretching across the firmament, covering half the sky. Like a prison, it covered towards the demons. Before the group could enter the void, it slapped the location of that spatial passage in one fell swoop, accompanied by a heaven-shaking earth-shattering loud boom spreading out. This heaven and earth seemed to flip over. The sky filled with surging divine light. Tao principles snapped. The massive pitch-black spatial passage continuously collapsed, directly wiped out by more than half with a single palm. The demon emperor's remnant soul also trembled violently, its light dimming significantly. The demon youths and girls all yelled in panic. Amidst the terrifying energy vibrations, figures flew out horizontally, thrown away. Their tendons snapped and bones broke, their auras plummeting rapidly. The collision of emperor-level might caused them to be instantly injured. Had it not been for the protection of the demon emperor's remnant soul, they would have long since turned to ash and smoke. Only Yao Qiye, who was in close contact with the demon emperor's remnant soul, remained mostly intact. However, from his mouth, blood also sprayed out. "Young master, take the emperor bloodstone and go quickly. Don't worry about us," the red-robed young girl yelled. "Young master, go quickly. When the emperor ancestor is resurrected in the future, help us seek revenge against the human race." The other several youths also shouted with difficulty. In fact, there was no need for their reminders at all. Yao Qiye didn't even have time to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth before activating the remnant soul's power once more. At a time like this, he could no longer care about his companions. A massive tortoise cry shook the 9 heavens. Large swathes of the vast sky exploded. In just the blink of an eye, those several demons in the void were obliterated into nothingness by this power, immediately turning into fine powder. Body and soul extinguished. And at the same time, Yao Qiye's figure became increasingly ethereal, about to brand itself into nothingness. "Mom, kill him." Jiang Yuxian was incredibly anxious. Su Qingshuang's eyes flashed like a blazing sun. "The Emperor Bloodstone is dyed with the fresh blood of a human race heavenly emperor. You demons also dare to lay your hands on it? Better leave it behind." While speaking, a jade palm once again struck across the void, reaching directly into the spatial passage, and viciously shook the demon emperor's remnant soul. "Ang ang ang!" Bursts of tortoise cries, punishing the heavens and killing the earth. Pillar after pillar of light spat out from the giant tortoise's mouth, all blasting onto Su Qingshuang's palm. The Dharma body's light dimmed rapidly, its power draining swiftly. She suppressed the emperor weapon with one hand, and fought against the demon emperor's remnant soul with the other, consuming a massive amount of energy. But Su Qingshuang didn't even frown once. Her slender hand was like jade, conjuring radiant light, ultimately piercing through the demon emperor's remnant soul in one fell swoop. Her fingertip lightly tapped on Yao Qiye's body. Yao Qiye's body instantly exploded into a mist of blood. That emperor bloodstone flew out of his grasp. Su Qingshuang flicked it lightly, and it shot backwards. The giant tortoise remnant soul let out a heaven-shaking roar, spewing out one incomparably terrifying pillar of light after another. That jade palm of Su Qingshuang was directly shattered apart, but immediately after it reformed again, continuing to press towards the demon emperor's remnant soul. The two clashed fiercely once more. Su Qingshuang's light palm shattered again. That remnant soul's aura also plummeted sharply, but it also used this opportunity to let out a roar, turned around and escaped into the spatial passage, quickly disappearing from sight. That old turtle ran away. "Mom, kill him." Jiang Yuxian was still yelling loudly, but Su Qingshuang paid no further heed. Her Dharma body shifted, recovering to its normal size. Her figure was slender, like a fairy descending to the mortal realm. Flipping her wrist, that emperor bloodstone fell into her palm. Her other palm continued to bind that tortoise shell, preventing it from escaping. Su Qingshuang leaned forward slightly, standing in front of Jiang Yuxian. She pinched the little guy's nose and shook it vigorously. "You little rascal, you only know how to cause a ruckus," she said with a smile. She was only a Dharma body here. Just now, she had also suppressed an emperor weapon with one hand. Furthermore, that was a demon emperor's remnant soul. Did he really think it was made of paper? Even so, Su Qingshuang still relied on her own strength to keep the emperor bloodstone and the tortoise shell, and also severely injured that remnant soul. "All right. Jiang Yuxian finally nodded. He was just feeling pity. That he didn't completely obliterate that old turtle. The demon race definitely knew I went to the deathly fierce land. Which is why they dared to risk bringing the Emperor weapon and Emperor soul. Infiltrating the Battle Dragon's secret realm. To steal the Emperor Bloodstone. I had long heard that before that old turtle passed away in meditation. He laid down countless backup plans. Attempting to live another lifetime. Looking at it now. They have already begun to act. Su Qingshuang said. Her eyes flashed like lightning. She then lightly raised her palm. And the Emperor Bloodstone flew into the air. Disappearing into that massive cave entrance. Jiang Yuxian raised his eyebrows. Only then did he understand the purpose of the demons. They wanted to resurrect the ancient demon emperor. The dead cannot be brought back to life. This is the law of the heavenly Tao. The true meaning of reincarnation is very hard to change. Looking at it this way, the demon race's scheme was truly massive indeed. But then again, they fell short of success on this trip at the final stage. And suffered a total loss. Not only were all their geniuses killed, they also lost an emperor weapon. And even the emperor's soul was severely injured. It could absolutely be called returning in utter defeat. Even though the demon race's foundation is profound. But a loss like this, I'm afraid it's also something they would find hard to bear. Mom! Give me that turtle shell. Jiang Yuxian suddenly stretched out his hand. He had been eyeing this emperor weapon for a long time. Hearing this, Su Qingshuang nodded. Her Dharma body's power surged. Holding the tortoise shell in one hand, she extended a jade finger with the other. Like an immortal sword. She wrote and drew on the emperor weapon. Extremely miraculous trajectories took shape. Carved onto it. As if engraving the 3,000 great daos and billions of laws. Jiang Yuxian waited quietly. Without disturbing her. This emperor weapon had the divine soul brand of the demon emperor. Just putting it in his hands like this. He definitely wouldn't be able to keep it. What his mom was doing now was exactly wiping away the brand on it. Not long after, Su Qingshuang withdrew her power, and the emperor weapon tortoise shell returned to palm size. She handed it to Jiang Yuxian. Right now you should focus primarily on your own cultivation. This emperor weapon, unless it's a critical moment, try not to use it. Otherwise you will form a dependency on it. Understand? Su Qingshuang rubbed the little guy's head, and said dotingly. Jiang Yuxian nodded his head like a chick pecking at rice. Of course. I am currently in the divine wheel realm. If I don't encounter the spirit nurturing realm, I absolutely will not use the emperor weapon. He pledged in all seriousness. Su Qingshuang's face darkened. You are in the divine wheel realm, that's true. But are you an ordinary divine wheel realm cultivator? Using an emperor weapon against a spirit nurturing realm opponent? This was planning to suppress the opponent until not even slag remained. Jiang Yuxian pretended not to see his mom's expression. He held the tortoise shell, fondling it admiringly. The demon race are truly good people. I was just worrying about lacking a top-tier weapon. And they were so kind. They directly delivered an emperor weapon to me. Jiang Yuxian was overjoyed. The corners of his mouth almost grinning to the roots of his ears. Looking across the massive 3,000 Dao realms. Passed down through countless years. The number of emperor weapons was still extremely limited. Every single one was treated as a clan-stabilizing artifact. Jiang Yuxian held the tortoise shell. And studied it carefully for a good while. Through his mom's explanation, he roughly knew the three most powerful functions of this tortoise shell. First was defense. This was the innate divine ability of the Black Tortoise clan. In the entire massive demon race, it would be hard to find any fellows tougher than a tortoise or turtle shell. An emperor weapon refined from a demon emperor's tortoise shell. Its defensive power naturally went without saying. Hiding inside. Even ordinary emperor weapons might not be able to cleave it open in one strike. Second, this tortoise shell looked completely pitch black. As if forged from absolute beginning divine gold. It felt heavy in the hand. Activated by divine power. It could be as massive and heavy as a mountain range. Suppressing all directions. No matter how strong the opponent trapped inside, they would find it hard to break open. Third, the patterns on the surface of the tortoise shell were entirely natural. Every trajectory seemed as if it were hand-carved by heaven itself, engraving the textures of the great Tao onto it, telling of endless true meanings. Once these patterns were fully activated, it would inevitably seal the heavens and lock the earth, just like an inescapable net, bloodily slaughtering all living beings. However, with Jiang Yuxian's current abilities, he was still unable to truly activate this emperor weapon. In addition, there was the Emperor Law brand of the ancient demon emperor on it. In the future it might serve as a reference for him on his path of cultivation. Truly a nice treasure. Jiang Yuxian liked this tortoise shell more and more. However, his mom concealed most of the tortoise shell's divine power fluctuations. At first glance there wasn't a very strong aura emanating from it. But Jiang Yuxian only slightly infused some spiritual energy. And an absolutely terrifying aura abruptly vented out. As if wanting to destroy the world. Not far away, Feng Wuqiu Qin, Yu Shihui, Shoutao Han Xian, and the others once again felt suffocated, nearly prostrating themselves on the ground. Jiang Yuxian hurriedly pulled back his hand. It wouldn't be good if he gave this bunch of guys psychological trauma. Yuxian, don't go into the Dragon Emperor's tomb anymore. Mother will send you out of the Battle Dragon secret realm. Su Qingshuang asked again at this time. Hearing this, Jiang Yuxian immediately waved his hand. I don't want to. My mission isn't finished yet. Su Qingshuang was dazed again for a moment. What mission do you have? She asked, puzzled. Jiang Yuxian subconsciously covered his mouth. He was careless. He accidentally let it slip. Mom, you've worked hard. Go back to the jade pendant to rest first. We're going to continue the assessment. Jiang Yuxian pretended nothing had happened. As he said this, Su Qingshuang was helpless. Forget it. Just let this little rascal be. She swept her gaze over Feng Wuqiu Qin Yushi and the others, and nodded her head. Her Dharma body directly disappeared from where she stood. And then that jade pendant automatically fell back onto Jiang Yuxian's neck. It was only then that Hui Shoutao and the others slowly walked forward. BBB big brother. The FFF Frost Heavenly Emperor is your. Han Xian stammered as he spoke, wanting to ask. The remaining people also stared straight at Jiang Yuxian, each of them treading carefully. They wanted to lean closer, but were trembling with fear, not daring to act out of line. They appeared incredibly nervous. What? Why are you all standing so far from me? Am I that scary? Jiang Yuxian said, widening his eyes. BBB, but you. Hui Shoutao said blankly. He but-ed for half a day without producing a continuation. Seeing everyone's expressions, Jiang Yuxian couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Sigh, I originally wanted to get along with you as an ordinary person. But I didn't expect to get alienation in return. His expression was desolate. And utterly disappointed. But immediately after he suddenly spread both hands. And spoke out boisterously. With an eccentric expression. I'm not hiding it anymore. I'm laying my cards on the table. You guessed right. My mom is a heavenly emperor. And I am an emperor's son. Seeing his appearance, Feng Wuqiu Qin Yushi and the others all opened their mouths wide. Even though they already knew this result. But actually hearing Jiang Yuxian admit it was still hard to believe. Over these past 2 days, they were actually hanging out with an emperor's son. My God. Does it have to be this surreal? It doesn't feel real at all, okay? This little guy in front of them was actually the son of the sole heavenly emperor in the current world. Her biological son. If this were before, even if they were beaten to death, they wouldn't have dared to imagine it. It's just that you are built as sturdy as a calf. You don't look half a year old at all. You really fooled everyone. An emperor's son actually knows how to rob. Feng Wuqiu suddenly muttered a sentence. The other several people all fell into silence together. These words really hit the nail on the head. This was the most important point of all. On this journey through the Battle Dragon secret realm, how many proper things had this little guy done? Robbing, roasting meat and stewing soup. The first thing he thought of upon seeing anything was whether it tasted good or not. Is this the demeanor of an emperor's son? Your style is way too crooked. If it wasn't for this, just based on your abnormally strong power, many people should have guessed your identity long ago. For a time Feng Wuqiu Qin Yushi and the others all had extremely weird looks in their eyes. Looking at their expressions, Jiang Yuxian's face twitched. What kind of looks are you all giving me? The runes under his feet suddenly flashed. He darted behind the crowd and kicked them one by one, kicking them all into a pose like a pack of dogs eating the same pile of shit. Even Qin Yushi and Qin Zihan each received a kick. What are you still standing around for? Bring that white tiger and demon wolf. Let's go out and roast some meat. Jiang Yuxian roared. Hu Shan and Lang Chuan from earlier had both been killed by Jiang Yuxian. At this time they had all transformed back into their true forms. They were like 2 small mountains. This was all meat. Wouldn't it make for a great feast? Feng Wuqiu and the others were exasperated, wanting to say something, but forcefully swallowed it back down. There was no helping it. They really couldn't beat him. On the other hand, Han Xianyang Xiao and Hui Shoutao happily scrambled up. They packed the two massive ferocious beasts into storage bags. These were geniuses of the demon race. On the path of cultivation, ferocious beasts focus on bloodline talents. Everything relies on talent inheritance. Origin determines the future ceiling. And the demon race not only possessed bloodline talents, but could also transform into human bodies and cultivate like humans. But fundamentally they were still ferocious beasts. Let's go. Jiang Yuxian waved his big hand and led the group mightily out of this emperor's tomb. Anyway, there's still a bit of time before the first stage ends. Let's find a place to set up the pots and cook first. However, just at the moment their group stepped out of the gorge's exit, an incomparably massive voice resonated between heaven and earth. All those who have trespassed into the forbidden ground, the assessment is immediately terminated. As this voice fell, a giant palm subsequently manifested in the high sky. Divine light blazed, interweaving Tao principles and divine rhythm. That large hand scooped lightly in the void, and this space became like a vast ocean. Muddy waves beat against the sky. Heaven shook and the earth moved. Exclamations rang out one after another in the distance. Their figures were unconsciously grabbed by the large hand. These people were all those participating in the assessment who entered this forbidden zone. Through the damaged arrays, an expert from the ancient heaven sect has intervened. They definitely also realized something was wrong and were clearing the area. Jiang Yuxian's group was equally unable to escape the power of that large hand. In just an instant they felt the world spinning, light and shadows shifting. Soon they appeared in the outside world, standing under the blue sky and bright sun. And upon seeing them appear, suddenly a loud shout rang out from afar. Ancestor, it's him. It's that little brat. He's the one who killed my brother. Dozens of figures were brought out of the battle dragon's secret realm, standing aloft in midair. And just as Jiang Yuxian revealed himself, several furious shouts abruptly echoed out in the vast sky. Little thief! You dare to kill the young master of my clan! This old man wants you to pay with your life. Demonic path thief! Daring to wreak havoc in the ancient heaven sect. Your crimes are unpardonable. Today you have no path to heaven and no door into the earth. This old woman will make you pay the price in blood. The three voices all carried absolutely overbearing auras, as if they were supreme beings of the world, suppressing everything. It was exactly the Bailey family, the Hellion family, and the ancient Knight dynasty, the experts of these three forces. It was two old men and an old woman. At the same time they spoke, they had already taken action. A giant palm directly pierced through the void, appearing in front of Jiang Yuxian. Above his head was a quaint porcelain bowl with a chipped edge, pressing down like the firmament itself. A galloping, roaring long river even appeared in the void, its massive waves striking the sky, sweeping towards Jiang Yuxian. The actions of these three instantly attracted the attention of countless people present. That little child is that little demon king from the battle dragon's secret realm. He robbed the precious medicines of many geniuses, and severely injured the two from the Xiao clan. Besides that, he also killed Bailey Jinghong Helian Chung and Gu Xiao. And he took many precious artifacts and essence blood from the ancient heaven sect. In just an instant everyone knew. That little child who looked only about 2 years old was exactly the legendary little demon king. He really was only that little. But his strength was so terrifying. He was absolutely a monstrous evildoer rarely seen in all eternity. But next, he was probably going to face a terrifying slaughter. Because that little demon king had provoked 3 incomparably formidable great clans. In fact, at this time, the 2 great sacred ancestors of the ancient heaven sect, as well as the sect master and another group of elders with profound cultivation, had already entered the battle dragon's secret realm. A heaven-defying incident had occurred there. They had to personally go and check. Right now only 5 elders of the ancient heaven sect remained guarding here, also bearing witness to all this. And among them one wearing a white robe. An elder who looked in his 40s. Furrowed his brows slightly. That little child seems a bit familiar. This elder's surname was Nian. He stared at Jiang Yuxian. A feeling of déjà vu welled up in his heart. Scene after scene flashed rapidly in his mind. At a certain moment, Elder Nian's pupils abruptly widened. The figure of the little child in front of him quickly overlapped with that little guy he saw half a year ago. In an instant, an urgent furious shout erupted from his mouth, its sound shaking the universe. Stop! Elder Nian turned pale with fright. Seeing that the Bailey family, Hellion family, and Ancient Knight Dynasty, the three experts' attacks, were about to land on Jiang Yuxian's body. Without even thinking, he flicked his hand and threw out a radiant bronze pagoda. This was a replica of a holy weapon, possessing a trace of holy might. As soon as it appeared, it made the stretch of heaven and earth seem to solidify. While the bronze pagoda flew, its size expanded drastically. In an instant it became like 100,000 massive mountains, pressing down toward the attacks of the three clans' experts, wanting to suppress them into powder. But before he took action, Jiang Yuxian had already moved a step ahead, facing the ferocious attacks of the three clans. His eyebrows knitted together. Flipping his wrist, a tortoise shell subsequently flew out through the void. Its form expanded madly. Whoosh! This incomparably powerful emperor weapon immediately steamed with boundless divine power, shaking the void as it went. In the next moment it collided with the attacks of the three clans' experts, as well as Elder Nian's bronze pagoda, violently clashing together. Boom boom boom! The earth shook and mountains swayed. A massive sound filled the sky. The clear sky disintegrated in large swathes, as if divine mountains were collapsing, revealing pitch-black space fragments one after another. The scene was terrifying. A massive energy storm flipped out madly, like turbulent waves. Many people who were relatively close panicked immediately and retreated, dared not to be tainted in the slightest. Under the gaze of everyone, that giant palm of light shattered and vanished, disintegrating into nothingness. The quaint porcelain bowl instantly cracked, exploding into sky-filling fragments. The rolling long river that covered the void also instantly turned into a mist, evaporated completely. The attacks of the three powerhouses were obliterated into nothingness in an instant. That bronze treasure pagoda was also sent flying backward. And in the original spot, the tortoise shell remained absolutely still. Not even a few ripples of divine power were stirred up. Jiang Yuxian, who was under its protection, didn't even have the corner of his clothes flutter. What? How is this possible? Exclamations rang out one after another. Everyone stared intently at that tortoise shell, hearts beating violently. Just what grade of weapon is that? To actually be this powerful? The powerhouses of the three families are all existences of the void governing realm. They attacked simultaneously, yet unexpectedly failed to shake that tortoise shell. Could that be a saint artifact? Such thoughts surged in the minds of countless people, extremely horrified. Void governing realm is already among the ranks of powerhouses in the 3,000 Dao realms. As long as saint ancestors do not appear, only the cave profound realm can suppress them. And that little demon king is still young. Absolutely cannot be called a true powerhouse. Even if he holds a royal artifact, an existence of the void governing realm can still easily capture him. But now, they unexpectedly couldn't shake that tortoise shell in the slightest. This is simply unimaginable. I'm afraid that tortoise shell, even if not a saint artifact, is definitely a top-grade royal artifact. It's too shocking. While countless people were in shock, Elder Nian of the Ancient Heaven sect let out an angry shout again. What do you think you are doing? His brows furrowed, burning with fury. His figure dashed out madly, and landed right beside Jiang Yuxian, shielding him behind his back. His gaze swept over the three powerhouses from the Hellion family, Bailey family, and Ancient Knight Dynasty, blazing with fierce fire. Seeing Elder Nian's appearance, the movements of the three families' powerhouses couldn't help but pause, looking at each other in dismay. Their hearts suddenly sank. Could it be that the Ancient Heaven sect intends to protect that little brat? It's not impossible. That little demon king has unparalleled talent. Perhaps the Ancient Heaven sect has also developed a desire to cherish talent, even if he harbors demonic methods. But before his true identity is clarified, the Ancient Heaven sect probably won't sit idly by and watch them kill him. Thinking of this, that white-haired old man of the Bailey family, his eyes became a bit gloomy. He bowed heavily towards Elder Nian. Elder Nian, the young master of my clan Bailey Jinghong, was killed by this little demon king. Even his innate saint vein was devoured by him. Originally, if my clan's young master was inferior in skill, dying normally during the assessment would be fine. But this little demon king doesn't even have an assessment token. He is definitely not an ordinary assessment disciple. Since that is the case, my Bailey family must ask him for an explanation. The white-haired old man said in a deep voice. The powerhouse of the Hellion family beside him also nodded. This was an old woman who looked to be around 70 years old, wearing a hair bun pinned at the back of her head, with a silver hairpin inserted in it. That's right. The number one talent of my Hellion family. Absolutely cannot die in vain like this. We request the ancient heaven sect to uphold justice for us. She glanced at Jiang Yuxian. Her eyes were full of hatred. At this time that powerhouse from the ancient Knight dynasty also stepped forward, cupping his hands towards Elder Nyen. If the ancient heaven sect truly wants to protect him, we naturally have nothing to say. But our three families definitely need an explanation. We can spare his life, but he must hand over that tortoise shell and the jade pendant. Please make a decision, ancient heaven sect. The person speaking for the ancient Knight dynasty was a middle-aged man, wearing a five-clawed dragon robe, with a majestic bearing. He is Gu Xiu's royal uncle, the younger brother of the dynasty's emperor. Just like the two from the Bailey and Hellion families, he also insisted that Jiang Yuxian must give the three families an explanation. But at the same time, the three of them were also feeling uneasy inside, somewhat trembling with fear. If the ancient heaven sect is determined to protect the little demon king, these people of theirs can only be helpless. Therefore they retreated in order to advance. They could choose not to kill the little demon king, but compensation for the losses was mandatory. This was inherently a flaw in the ancient heaven sect's assessment, no matter what an explanation should be given. However, hearing the words of the three, Elder Nyen suddenly sneered. Is my ancient heaven sect a place where you can bargain? Do you know who he said coldly. But before he could finish his sentence, he was abruptly interrupted by Jiang Yuxian. Wait a minute. Don't you guys just want my treasures? Speaking so high-sounding, Jiang Yuxian raised his eyebrows. Without showing any emotion, a small hand reached into his collar and pulled down the jade pendant. You want this jade pendant, right? Just take it. He threw that jade pendant straight out, and it was subsequently grabbed by the ancient Knight dynasty's royal uncle, in one swift motion into his hand. The surrounding people were astonished. But before they could think further, they heard that little demon king speak again. You want this tortoise shell too, right? I'll give it to you all together. He flipped his small hand. The imperial weapon tortoise shell tore through the air and landed directly in front of the Hellion family's old woman. Jiang Yuxian's movements didn't stop. There are no other good things left. The royal artifacts and stuff I got from the Battle Dragon's secret realm. I'll just give them all to you. With a swish, several royal artifacts, jade bottles and armors were thrown out by him, resplendent with light. With a vast aura, these treasures fell together towards the Bailey family crowd, and were pulled over by the leading old man. After doing all this, Jiang Yuxian clapped his hands. They're gone. These are all the treasures on my body. Watching his actions, the crowd in the surrounding space fell into a deathly silence. Everyone looked as if they were stupefied, staring blankly at that tiny figure. Why does this feel wrong? Others asked for treasures, and you just gave them away right after saying so. Moreover, those things clearly are not ordinary items at a glance. How strong the tortoise shell is, they had just roughly witnessed. That jade pendant even once took the self-destructing power of an 8th tier formation, and easily blocked it. It is also absolutely extremely powerful. Furthermore, several royal artifacts, essence, blood and armors, even within holy lands and great sects, are rare and precious treasures. This little demon king just threw them all out like this, without even blinking an eye. At this moment Elder Nyen was speechless. But immediately after he suddenly smiled knowingly. He was originally about to say the two words Emperor's son. Who would have thought the little guy beat him to it and did all this? Is he planning to scam people? He could already imagine the expressions of those three families after they learned the truth later. In the crowd, an unknown number of people's eyes turned red with envy, especially the people of the Xiao clan. At first, when Xiao Aoran and Xiao Aochuan were teleported out, they originally also planned to attack the little demon king. But after a series of events that followed, they only felt that the little thing's background was probably not simple. After all, he dared to offend even the Bailey family and the Hellion family. If the Xiao clan forcefully stood out, a moment of carelessness might lead to them biting off more than they could chew. So they could only give up. But now, seeing those magical treasures falling into the hands of the three families piece by piece, they regretted it endlessly. If they had known this earlier, they should have attacked just now too. It's already too late to try and fight for it now. It's completely impossible to get a share from the hands of the three families. At this time, the three parties of the Bailey family, Hellion family, and Ancient Knight dynasty were holding the treasures. Everyone was overjoyed. They absolutely didn't expect it. These treasures fell into their hands so easily. Originally, they were still afraid that the Ancient Heaven sect would stop them. Now that they have already fallen into their own hands, there is absolutely no reason to hand them out again. Since that is the case, then my Bailey family naturally keeps its word. We will temporarily no longer pursue the matter of my clan's young master's death, the white-haired old man of the Bailey family said with a light snort. But the joy on his face couldn't be suppressed no matter what. 3 royal artifacts, 2 drops of ancient vicious beast essence blood, and an incredibly precious weapon refining material. Adding these things together, it almost catches up to the countless years of accumulation of the Bailey family. They made a huge profit this time, although it cannot be compared with an innate Saint Vane. But after all, Bailey Jinghong is already dead, and the Ancient Heaven sect seems determined to protect the little demon king. To be able to get so many treasures is truly rare. At the same time, the old woman of the Hellion family also slightly nodded her head. She pondered for a moment, channeled rolling spiritual energy in her hands, and injected it into the tortoise shell, wanting to see the specific grade of this precious artifact. Then, only hearing a boom, the world lost its color. Mountains and rivers shook together. The entire great Kiliacosm began to sway. Terrifying divine light transformed into incredibly mysterious trajectories, as if the great Tao was evolving, releasing a power capable of obliterating everything. Countless people slumped down on the spot, falling from the void, like dropping dumplings into boiling water. Everyone's heart was filled with boundless fear, unable to muster even the slightest thought of resistance. This is an imperial weapon. The old woman also spoke in panic. The tortoise shell directly flew out of her hands, scaring her out of her wits. She truly felt that the tortoise shell was permeated with an extremely formidable might. That was true and real imperial might. For a moment, countless people present had their expressions explode with shock. Imperial weapon. That little demon king actually took out an imperial weapon. How could a little baby have this kind of divine object on him? And he just threw it to the Hellion family like this. What on earth was he thinking? The crowd's thoughts turned 100 times. Even the people of the Hellion family began to tremble with all their hearts. Is this little baby really of an ordinary background? To even have an imperial weapon. This is too terrifying. That is an imperial weapon of the demon race. At this time, someone recognized the origin of the tortoise shell, and said so. Hearing this, the old woman of the Hellion family finally calmed down a bit. If it is an imperial weapon of the demon race, then there is nothing to be afraid of. Once it falls into the hands of the human race, it's impossible for the demon race to snatch it back. Just don't know exactly what kind of heaven-defying fortune that little demon king had to obtain this demon race imperial weapon. I'm afraid even he himself doesn't know that this tortoise shell could be so terrifying, right? Thinking of this, the old woman of the Hellion family couldn't help but tremble physically, carefully retrieving the tortoise shell. Such a divine object her Hellion family couldn't keep. So in just a brief moment, the old woman made a plan. Later use it to exchange with the Ancient Heaven sect. She would definitely be able to exchange for numerous treasures. That is actually an imperial weapon. And it even fell into the hands of the Hellion family. Meanwhile, on the other side, the old man of the Bailey family's eyes turned red. He had just obtained multiple royal artifacts, and was still very satisfied. But compared to an imperial weapon, what is the difference between them and scrap iron? At this instant, the old man's guts turned green with regret. If he had known, he should have fought for that tortoise shell. Your Highness Prince Ning, quickly look at that jade pendant. Soon someone started urging. Pairs of eyes. Ultimately, all landed on the royal uncle of the Ancient Knight dynasty. That little demon king has already taken out so many supreme treasures, even including an imperial weapon. By now, everyone really wants to know just what kind of powerful artifact that jade pendant might be. The royal uncle of the Ancient Knight dynasty nodded, and raised the jade pendant in his hand. At this very moment, countless gazes all landed on the Ancient Knight dynasty's royal uncle. Everyone's eyes were filled with eagerness. Even Elder Nyen was full of curiosity. He couldn't help but crane his neck, wanting to know what exactly that jade pendant was. Of course, he wasn't worried at all that the jade pendant would truly fall into the hands of the Ancient Knight dynasty. The Emperor's son's things. Who dares to take them? Even if the Emperor's son gave it away personally. When the time comes they'll probably be crying and screaming to return it. And still have to beg the Emperor's son to accept it. And among the crowd, Feng Wuchou Qin, Yushi Hui Shoutao and others looked at each other. In their hearts they severely broke a cold sweat for the ancient Knight dynasty. They had witnessed what was inside that jade pendant. That was a Dharma body of the Frost Heavenly Emperor. You actually treat it as a treasure. And want to keep it for yourself. Do you want to die, or are you tired of living? There will definitely be a time for you to cry later. Really want to remind them. But also want to see their upcoming expressions. So conflicted. What to do? Qin Yushi muttered softly. Feeling like a cat was scratching in her heart. Restless and antsy. Keeping this kind of thing inside is too uncomfortable. Even Hui Shoutao next to her. His small face was already flushed red. Under the gaze of everyone. The ancient knight royal uncle did not hesitate. Directly channeled his spiritual energy. And poured it into the jade pendant. The jade pendant instantly flew out of his hand. Soaring to the ninth heaven. Followed by a heaven-scorching and earth-shaking power. Surging outwards madly. Accompanied by an extremely resplendent aura surging forth. The entire world was submerged in intense light. An incomparably terrifying coercion. Suddenly descended. Shaking the 9 heavens above. Quaking the 9 netherworlds below. Like a peerless divine lord stepping out of nothingness. Suppressing the entire heaven and earth. In just an instant. Everyone unconsciously knelt down. Bodies trembling. Cold sweat dripping. This is covered under the divine radiance. Countless people were filled with panic. As if bearing the weight of a primordial divine mountain. But an extreme shock surged in their hearts. Supreme treasure. This is absolutely a supreme treasure without a doubt. The ancient knight royal uncle screamed wildly in his heart. Overjoyed beyond measure. He knew that he had also obtained a supreme treasure beyond imagination. It might even be no less than that imperial weapon tortoise shell. This made his internal organs tremble. So excited that he wanted to shout out loud. Such a divine object. If I can keep it in my own hands. In the future my ancient knight dynasty will surely soar up to the sky. Might even have the hope of promoting to a divine dynasty. It's not impossible. The ancient knight royal uncle thought excitedly. Such a treasure is better stored away first. And slowly studied after going back. While thinking, divine power surged throughout his body. As he was about to retrieve the jade pendant back into his hand. But right at the moment his palm was just raised. His entire person suddenly froze for a second. Only to see the sky-filling divine light rapidly retracting. Condensing into an indomitable figure of a woman. The woman wore a pure white dress. With every glance, it was as if gods were surrounding and serving her. Infinite great Daos, endless laws. Illusorily transforming into 3,000 worlds. Bobbing up and down around her body. She looked like the incarnation of the heavenly Tao supreme and unmatched. Unbearable to look at directly. Taking just one glance made one's soul tremble and sting. As if it was about to tear apart. This is a Dharma body. That jade pendant carries a Dharma body inside. Immediately everyone understood this truth. However, the vast majority of people failed to recognize the woman's identity. Only knowing that this was absolutely an incredibly powerful existence. But soon enough, someone was heard speaking with extreme difficulty in the void. With a trembling voice. THTHTH, this is the Dharma body of the FF Frost Heavenly Emperor. SH is the Frost Heavenly Emperor. When such words fell, everyone present felt like they were viciously struck by 10,000 bolts of shocking thunder. All froze on the spot. At the exit of the Battle Dragon secret realm. Fell into a deathly silence. So quiet that a dropping pin could be heard. An unparalleled feeling of horror rose from the bottom of everyone's heart. FR Frost Heavenly Emperor. That Dharma body is the Frost Heavenly Emperor. After people truly accepted this fact and regained their senses, without exception their expressions exploded. Horrified to the point of near death. Paying respects to the Frost Heavenly Emperor. Elder Nyen was stunned for a long while. Before taking the lead to react. Immediately bowing. Greeting her with a grand ceremony. His voice ringing out. Instantly jolted everyone awake. Countless figures bowed at the same time. Facing that Dharma body. With the utmost respect. Paying respects to the Frost Heavenly Emperor. Everyone lowered their heads. Like a landslide and a tsunami. Shaking the vast sky. How could this be? How could the little demon king have the Frost Heavenly Emperor's Dharma body on him? The people of the Hellion family and Bailey family All trembled inexplicably in their hearts. Their mouths opened as wide as hippos. Their eyes were almost popping out of their sockets. And the ancient knight royal uncle. His face instantly turned pale like a dead person. I know now. The emperor's son. He must be the emperor's son. The ancient knight royal uncle's teeth chattered. Cold sweat flowed like a babbling brook, instantly soaking the dragon robe on his body completely. If he still didn't understand by now, then he would truly be an idiot. Including the old woman of the Hellion family, and the old man of the Bailey family. They also woke up to the truth. The few of them looked in the direction of that little demon king. That is the emperor's son. He is actually the emperor's son. People like themselves actually coerced the emperor's son, demanding him to offer up his own treasures. No wonder. No wonder he had an imperial weapon on him. No wonder despite his young age, his strength was so powerful. No wonder he wasn't afraid of the various large clans, and dared to kill even Hellion Chung Bailey Jinghong and Gu Xiao. All of this was because he is the emperor's son, the child of the only heavenly emperor in the current era. This is an evildoer rarely seen in myriad ages. The sole freak in the whole world. And right at this moment, that giant Dharma body suddenly spoke. You wanted to attack my son? The Frost Heavenly Emperor's eyes were seen to be like the scorching sun, revolving with fiercely brilliant and unmatched radiance. Her words were filled with coldness and murderous intent. When a heavenly emperor is enraged, blood slaughters the firmament. The great Tao rotates, and all things perish. The ferocious coercion blotted out the sky and covered the earth, making people feel as if they were facing the abyss of hell. Frost Heavenly Emperor. The ancient knight royal uncle's body suddenly went soft, slumping down like a noodle. The people of the Hellion family and Bailey family, even more so with a thud, all knelt down in unison. Please calm your anger, Frost Heavenly Emperor. We wouldn't dare. Misunderstanding. Right. This is all a misunderstanding. If we knew it was His Highness the Emperor's son, even giving us 10,000 guts, we wouldn't dare to offend him in the slightest. The people of the two families wailed in anguish, howling loudly, kicking their heads and paying respects non-stop. Their spines went cold, never having been so terrified. Offending the Emperor's son. If it provoked the Heavenly Emperor's anger, even 10,000 lives wouldn't be enough to die. Facing forces like theirs, the Frost Heavenly Emperor could crush hundreds of them with a single finger. At this very moment, besides pleading guilty and begging for mercy, there was no other choice. Yuxian. Hearing the words of the few people, Su Qingshuang shifted her gaze and looked towards the little guy. Jiang Yuxian scratched his head. It wasn't really a misunderstanding. The descendants of their families wanted to kill me in the Battle Dragon's secret realm, and were all slaughtered by me. So aren't they here to claim compensation from me? They wanted the imperial weapon. I gave them the imperial weapon. They wanted the jade pendant. I handed over the jade pendant too. I didn't keep a single piece of the treasures I obtained. I gave them all to them. They should be satisfied now, right? After Jiang Yuxian finished speaking, he waved at Feng Han Xian Hui Shou Tao and the others. There's nothing for me to do here anymore. Do you guys want to chat for a while longer? I'm heading back to Moon Gazing Peak to roast meat. My stomach is already hungry. Jiang Yuxian turned and left. Jiang Yuxian finished speaking and turned his head to leave. This time, it completely terrified the people of the ancient Knight Dynasty Hellion family and Bailey family. Please stay, Your Highness. Your Highness. Everyone instantly started shouting. Extremely anxious. This was disastrous. The Emperor's son's treasures were still in their hands. How could they watch him leave just like that? Even if the Emperor's son truly didn't want them, they themselves didn't dare to keep them. After learning Jiang Yuxian's identity, the greed in their hearts had long been swept away, leaving only a full desire to survive. If the Emperor's son didn't take back the treasures, that would be roasting them on a fire. This was a life-threatening matter. If not handled well, I'm afraid the families and dynasty behind them would all suffer bloody implications. While shouting urgently, the white-haired old man, the old woman, and the ancient knight royal uncle, the three of them, hastily rushed in front of Jiang Yuxian and blocked him. Thudding down, they knelt in the void again, each holding the tortoise-shell jade pendant royal artifacts and other treasures, respectfully offering them in front of him. Your Highness, it was our foolishness. We offended Your Highness, and truly deserved to die 10,000 deaths. But if we had known earlier that you were the Emperor's son, even giving us 100,000 guts, We wouldn't dare to have the slightest disrespect. Please your highness, for the sake of our ignorance, take back the treasures. The three powerhouses said with miserable faces, wailing to the heavens and beating the earth. Their hands holding the treasures were trembling non-stop. The cold sweat on their bodies had long run dry. However, Jiang Yuxian just raised his eyebrows, a sneer rising in his heart. Weren't you guys acting very overbearing just now? Feeling like you had me completely figured out? All right then. The Imperial Weapon Jade Pendant Royal Artifacts and stuff. I gave them all to you. And now you're begging me to take them back? How could there be such an easy thing? A good dog doesn't block the way. Scram! Without a second word, Jiang Yuxian jumped up and delivered a kick to the ancient knight royal uncle's chest, kicking him over to the side. Without stopping his footsteps, he continued heading in the direction of Moon-Gazing Peak, leaving extremely decisively. That appearance obviously showed he didn't want to pay any more attention to these people. Boss, wait for us. In the rear, after Hui Shoutao, Han Xian and the others froze for a moment. They suddenly cheered and followed him. In that scene, a group of people were holding back their laughter, just short of writing the words taking pleasure in others' misfortune on their faces. When passing by the ancient knight royal uncle and the other two, Hui Shoutao even turned his head and winked at him, revealing a mouthful of big white teeth, grinning with a big mouth. God knows what he was so happy about. Your Highness, the ancient knight royal uncle shouted with a hoarse voice, one hand grabbing at the air, as if still wanting to hold him back. The white-haired old man and the old woman were also so anxious that they were about to cry out loud. But they didn't dare to step forward to stop him again. They could only watch that tiny figure drift further and further away, and disappear at the edge of their sight not long after. If they provoked the Emperor's son's anger even further, I'm afraid it would be even harder to resolve. And such a scene also caused the emotions of countless people present to churn. Immediately after, they couldn't help but feel sorrow for the three families' powerhouses. Now you know what a hot potato is, right? Can't hold on to it. Can't throw it away. Holding divine objects like an imperial weapon in their hands. As much as they were pleasantly surprised before, that is how much they are despairing now. In fact, the three powerhouses practically had the mind to die. The Emperor's son probably can't be swayed by begging. Frost, Heavenly Emperor. The three of them shifted their gazes and landed on that woman with an otherworldly demeanor, kneeling in front of her again. If begging the Emperor's son doesn't work, then they could only beg the Frost Heavenly Emperor. Frost Heavenly Emperor. The juniors of our three families intended to sneak attack and kill the Emperor's son. They entirely brought it upon themselves. And their deaths are not to be pitied. We three coveted His Highness's supreme treasures, which is also an unforgivable sin. But we truly didn't mean to offend. Please, Frost Heavenly Emperor, for the sake of our ignorance, forgive the faults of us few, and take back the treasures on behalf of His Highness. The old woman of the Hellion family knelt in the void, kowtowing ceaselessly, shedding tears while speaking. The other two similarly had red and swollen eye sockets, holding the Imperial Weapon Jade Pendant and other supreme treasures, full of fear in their hearts. Looking at their appearance, Su Qingshuang did not reach out to take them. Her gaze was cold and clear. If it were based on her temperament, since these people dared to attack Yuxian, then they deserve 1,000,000 deaths. Not a single one of them would live. But right now she couldn't figure out the little guy's specific thoughts. Whether to kill or let go. He actually didn't give a straightforward answer. For a moment Su Qingshuang couldn't help feeling a bit helpless. The 3,000 Dao realms have an unwritten rule. The struggles of the younger generation are to be resolved by themselves. Life and death are up to fate. Opportunities are determined by heaven. The older generation figures must not forcibly intervene. But your actions today have already broken this tacit understanding. Only to hear Su Qingshuang say coldly. The three families' powerhouses heard these words in their ears, trembling nonstop all over. Exactly as the Frost Heavenly Emperor said. This tacit understanding indeed exists among the major forces. The juniors need to grow. Need to undergo trials. Then let them fight and compete with their peers. Even if they lose their lives, they can't blame anyone. This is the necessary path to becoming a powerhouse. Of course, then again, such rules only apply between forces with comparable strength, and have a binding effect. If a disciple of a small sect killed the son of an elder from a holy land, they would still suffer a cruel and bloody revenge. After all, comparing the two, one is the sky, one is the ground. In the great wilderness world, the strong are respected. Strength is supreme. Rules are all determined by a single word from the strong. Whoever has the bigger fist has the final say. Obviously, the person with the biggest fist in the current era was standing right in front of them at this moment, with the dignity of a heavenly emperor. Crushing them to death would be as simple as pinching an ant. Even if she stood up for the emperor's son, no one could find the slightest fault in it. Who asked her to be the sole heavenly emperor of the current era? Su Qingshuang's words made the people of the three families feel as if they had heard the voice of death. Frost Heavenly Emperor, spare our lives. At this very moment, the ancient knight royal uncle and the other two had pale faces, terrified to the extreme, kowtowing like pounding garlic. Su Qingshuang lightly snorted again, her tone shifting. Don't say this emperor doesn't give you a chance. Before this emperor returns to the ancient heaven sect, I hope you can handle this matter well. Otherwise your three forces will no longer have any need to exist. After speaking, the Dharma body turned into a streak of flowing light, and returned into the jade pendant, between heaven and earth. That terrifying coercion retreated like the tide. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. But the people of the three parties, Bailey family, Hellion family, and Ancient Knight dynasty, not only didn't feel relieved, but instead felt increasingly depressed in their hearts. The Frost Heavenly Emperor's meaning was to let them find a way themselves, to satisfy the Emperor's son. But looking at the Emperor's son's demeanor, he obviously wouldn't forgive easily. Furthermore, God knows when the Frost Heavenly Emperor will return to the Ancient Heaven sect. We still have time. We still have time. The white-haired old man of the Bailey family's lips quivered. As he kept muttering, he turned his head and rushed to the side of Elder Nyen and the others. Squeezing out a stiff smile, he cupped his hands. Elders. But just as he opened his mouth, he was interrupted by Elder Nyen waving his hand. I can't help you with this matter. After speaking, he turned around, leaving them with the back of his head. The other four elders present also sneered one by one. Your families are probably too used to being arrogant and domineering normally, huh? Only you didn't expect that this time you would bump into the Emperor's son. Not killing you on the spot is already the mercy of the Frost Heavenly Emperor and the Emperor's son. If you want to obtain forgiveness, go to Moon Gazing Peak yourselves. Jiang Yuxian returned to Moon Gazing Peak, and the powerhouses of the three families like the Ancient Knight dynasty also closely followed behind, arriving here. But they couldn't go up the mountain at all, and could only kneel at the foot of the mountain. The number of people from the three families was not small. Old and young added together, there were about 30 or 40 people, kneeling in several rows. But before they had even knelt for half an hour, they saw a group of people charging over aggressively. Before the people arrived, their voices arrived first. Where are the people from those three scumbag families? Let me take a good look. Just how big their dog guts really are. Daring to touch the granddisciple of Mi Xiaofui. I think they are tired of living. An old man in brocade clothes charged at the very front, shouting loudly. This brocade-clothed old man was naturally none other than Jiang Wushu's master Xiaofui. Behind him followed a large group of people. Su Qingshuang's master Zhaohe, the ancient heaven sect master Jiang Yizong, and over 20 elders had all come. Besides them, there were also two hale and hearty old men with boundless profound auras. They were saint ancestor powerhouses of the ancient heaven sect, named Shin Quanyang and Tang Wang respectively. At the front of the crowd, Granny Shi's figure was also seen. At this time these people all had a dark face, each and every one radiating murderous intent all over. Xiaofui was the first to land in front of the people of the three families, and then grabbed the collar of the Bailey family's white-haired old man. You wanted to kill my granddisciple, huh? Saying that, a massive slap was viciously swung down. Why don't you kill one and let me see? A second huge slap immediately followed. Snatching treasures, huh? Another huge slap fell. Incredibly crisp. What are you kneeling here for? Smack. Got the guts to rob. Smack. But no guts to keep it, huh? Smack. Xiaofui glared with his eyes. With every sentence that fell, it was accompanied by a heavy slap. His palm employed dense spiritual energy, whipping the white-haired old man's face until his flesh was torn open, smeared full of blood. But he didn't dare to make a single sound, only able to grit his teeth and silently endure it. Watching Xiaofui take action, Granny Shi Zhaohe, Jiang Yizong and the others all watched coldly from the sidelines, with indifferent expressions. Prior to this, When changes occurred in the Battle Dragon's secret realm, Granny Shi Jiang and others all entered to investigate, and indeed found the damage to the Saint Formation, as well as traces of someone breaking into that great tomb. However, by the time they arrived, the place was already deserted. This made them incomparably alarmed. It wasn't until they returned to the outside world did they learn from Elder Nian and the others that the little guy at an unknown time had actually sneaked into the Battle Dragon's secret realm. The crowd first turned pale with fright, but quickly understood where exactly the great battle in the Emperor's tomb came from. It must have been Qingxuang's Dharma body taking action, resolving those infiltrators. This made the group let out a sigh of relief. As long as the Emperor's tomb was unharmed, it was fine. But immediately after, Elder Nian told them again that the little guy was besieged and killed in the secret realm. And after coming out, he was pressured by the Bailey family, Hellion family, and the people of the ancient Knight dynasty to hand over all the treasures on his body. Upon hearing this, everyone's fury boiled over on the spot, especially Xiaofui. His lungs were about to explode from anger. On the territory of my ancient heaven sect, touching the child of Qingxuang and Wushu, this was absolutely unacceptable. After beating the white-haired old man, Xiaofui threw him down like throwing a dead dog, and then grabbed the old woman of the Hellion family, not caring at all that the other party was a woman, similarly slapping her face with huge slaps one after another, swinging left and right. Smack, 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 smack. In a short while, both sides of the old woman's face swelled up highly, becoming a full 3 times larger. She cried endlessly, feeling incredibly wronged in her heart. Having lived for thousands upon tens of thousands of years, no one had ever dared to hit her like this before. But facing Xiaofui, she couldn't muster the slightest thought of resistance. This is an elder of the ancient heaven sect, the master of Saint Ancestor Wushu. Even if she was beaten to death here today, the huge Hellion family probably wouldn't even dare to let out a fart. Xiaofui didn't have the slightest intention of stopping. Just after releasing the old woman, he targeted the ancient knight royal uncle again. After serving a round of massive slaps, he started kicking with his heavy feet, kicking him on his body again and again. Pfft. The ancient knight royal uncle's internal organs were almost shattered. Scarlet blood spewed from his mouth, his body curling up like a cooked shrimp. Xiaofui had no taboos whatsoever, not even sparing the group of teenagers, beating them all up. Not long after, the foot of the mountain was covered with fallen bodies, but they all forcibly endured it and didn't dare to make a sound. Granny Shi glanced at them coldly. Without saying a word, her figure directly vanished from the spot. She went up the mountain. Look at how capable you think you are, daring to touch even my granddisciple. If Qingxuang hadn't said to give you a chance, I would slaughter you right now, Xiaofui said viciously. He rubbed his right palm with his left thumb. His hands were hurting from hitting people. Listening to the low sobs of some teenagers on the side, even Zhao He, who usually spoke little, also spoke coldly at this time. Don't kneel here anymore. If you want to kneel, go outside the sect gates to kneel. Don't be an eyesore here. After speaking, he turned his head, and also darted up towards Moon-Gazing Peak. Jiang Yizong Shen Quanyang Tang Wang, and the group of elders, all flicked their sleeves, heavily snorting coldly from their noses, and each went up the mountain. And as they left, the older generation figures of the 3 families were somewhat okay, but the group of young boys and girls couldn't help but instantly start howling and crying out loud. Stop crying. The Hellion family elder covered his face, and abruptly shouted deeply. With a gloomy gaze, he kept silent, and was the first to walk towards the outside of the ancient heaven sect. The rest of the people didn't dare to delay either. The ancient heaven sect powerhouses had already spoken. They couldn't kneel here. Since that was the case, how could they dare to continue staying? Leaving was definitely out of the question. The Emperor's son's treasures had not been taken back yet. They could only go outside the ancient heaven sect's mountain gate to kneel. The 3 families dragged their wretched figures, and quickly changed locations. Their appearance was seen by the countless people participating in the ancient heaven sect's disciple recruitment grand ceremony, and taken into their eyes. Many people gazed from afar, and couldn't help but discuss animatedly. These large clans have always been used to being arrogant and domineering. Their strength cannot compare at all to the numerous Holy Land's great sects, aristocratic families, and divine dynasties. But when it comes to bullying others by relying on their power, they are even a notch above. I heard that during the assessment while fighting for opportunities, the Emperor's son dug out a precious herb, and Bailey Jinghong Helian Chung and the others directly attempted to kill him. That's only because it was the Emperor's son. If it had been anyone else, they would have died hundreds of times already. If you always walk by the river, how can your shoes not get wet? This time bumping into such a massive iron plate like the Emperor's son. They completely deserve it. Gu Xiao Bailey Jinghong and the others probably didn't know until they died exactly who they had provoked, and how great a disaster they brought to their families. This is the price of looking down on everyone. Many people thought with no lack of satisfaction. While in the crowd, a group of people from the Xiao clan of the Lingxiao domain felt an immense lingering fear. Fortunately, at the final moment, they did not make a move against the Emperor's son. Otherwise, they would be among the people kneeling outside the mountain gate right now. Even more fortunately, their Xiao clan didn't lose any disciples in the assessment. Let's go. Leave one person here to wait for the assessment to end, and bring the rest of the people back to the clan. The Xiao clan elder suddenly said this. Hearing his words, Xiao Aoran couldn't help but ask, Ancestor, am I not going to join the ancient heaven sect anymore? The Xiao clan elder flew into a rage, and slapped him so hard that he spun 5 times on the spot, then snorted, and without explaining, flicked his sleeves and left first. The dejected departure of the Xiao clan people was also noticed by some. Aren't those the people of the Xiao clan? Earlier they also seemed to say they were going to take revenge on the little demon king. Taking revenge on the Emperor's son. They have really good luck. If it wasn't for the Bailey family, Helian family, and ancient Knight dynasty standing at the front, the unlucky ones would have been the Xiao clan. Are they leaving? Nonsense. If they don't leave, are they going to stay in the ancient heaven sect and wait for the day the Emperor's son remembers them? But isn't Xiao Aoran a predetermined disciple of the ancient heaven sect? Is he also just leaving like this? Many people pointed from the side, discussing animatedly. The words of this last person were actually also the doubts in Xiao Aoran's heart. He had long been preselected by the ancient heaven sect. Even if he failed the assessment, he could still smoothly enter the sect to cultivate and become a personal disciple. Yet the ancestor insisted on taking him away. This left Xiao Aoran full of unwillingness. However, soon a bystander cleared up the confusion for him, only to hear an old man with incredibly sharp eyes chuckle hee hee. Hee hee hee, so what if he's a preselected disciple of the ancient heaven sect? Even if the ancient heaven sect dares to accept him, does he dare to stay? Based on what he did to the Emperor's son during the assessment, even if the sect elders don't hold it against him, I'm afraid countless junior disciples will try every possible means to make things difficult for him. The Frost Heavenly Emperor is not only the heaven-supporting pillar of the human race, but also the pride of the ancient heaven sect. The Xiao clan bullied her child, so it's destined they won't have a foothold in the ancient heaven sect. Hehehe. This old man looked to be in his 60s, with a tall and sturdy build, wearing a large coat made from the fur of a vicious wolf, exuding a tough and fierce aura, standing there just like a small mountain, with a majestic bearing. It's just that those old eyes always like to use a profound gaze to peek at people's storage bags. What this brother said is very true. His words immediately drew agreement from some people, and they began to strike up conversations to build connections with each other, just to make a friend. I am Sun Qian of the Sun clan from the Sky Sea domain. I see that brother has an extraordinary temperament, and is definitely not an ordinary person. May I ask how to address you? An older generation figure cupped his hands and asked. The old man casually swept a glance over the other party, and then also cupped his hands formally. You're too polite. This old man is Hui Xuanbiao. His answer made everyone nearby couldn't help but freeze for a moment. Hui Xuanbiao? What kind of weird name is this? Sun Qian touched his nose, and then smiled. Greetings, Brother Hui. With Brother Hui's bearing, I presume the junior participating in the assessment is even more extraordinary. He subtly offered a compliment, but Hui Xuanbiao showed no intention of being humble at all, pushing out his big belly, sticking out his thumb. Of course, with the talent of this old man's grandson, he will definitely become the first holy son of the ancient heaven sect in the future. Without a doubt. Upon hearing these words, the surrounding crowd all stiffened their faces without exception, scoffing internally. You really aren't humble at all, old man. Is the first holy son of the ancient heaven sect that easy to become? What kind of physique does your grandson have? To dare make such grand boasts? Seemingly seeing through the crowd's disdain, the old man raised his eyebrows. Complacently. My grandson right now is already following by the emperor's son's side. When the time comes a holy son position will be easily in the bag. The crowd was collectively startled. Following the emperor's son? Earlier the emperor's son took a group of people back to roast meat. And your grandson was among them? Suddenly everyone's attitude changed completely. It was very obvious. Those young boys and girls who left following the emperor's son were all friends he made during the assessment. Being friends with the emperor's son. What kind of concept is that? Even if it's a lump of useless mud, as long as it gets looked after, it could be plastered all over an entire wall. At this moment, everyone's gazes toward Hui Xuanbiao all changed. Admiration, envy, jealousy. They had it all. If possible. How they wished their own juniors could also follow by the emperor's son's side. There would definitely be countless benefits. However, this kind of atmosphere hadn't lasted even the time of 2 breaths, when a weak voice suddenly came from the side. I remember now. The bandit leader of the tyrant god stronghold in the tyrant wind domain seems is also named Hui something Biao. This was a man who looked to be in his 30s. He looked carefully at Hui Xuanbiao, wanting to get confirmation. Hui Xuanbiao burst into loud laughter. Haha, you've got a good eye, kid. That is indeed I, your father. No, wait. That is indeed this old man. He took a big step forward and heavily patted the man's shoulder with his large hand, almost shattering the man's bones. Everyone present froze at the same time. Sun Qian's eyes suddenly opened as wide as brass bells. It's actually you. You are the #1 bandit of the tyrant wind domain. The bandit leader of the tyrant god stronghold, nicknamed the mountain-swallowing tiger. He pointed at Hui Xuanbiao, trembling with fear. Hearing these words, the surrounding crowd collectively jumped up and leaped backwards 10 zhang away, each and every one wanting to get further away from Hui Xuanbiao. They couldn't afford not to distance themselves. Many people had heard of the tyrant wind domain as one of the 3,000 Dao realms. It was not prosperous there. Comparatively speaking, it seemed very barren, without too many resources. The nearest holy lands and great sects were separated by dozens of great domains. However, around the tyrant wind domain, there were several other great domains that possessed decent spirit stone mines, which were carved up by many large clans and sects. There was even a certain holy land station there. The tyrant wind domain was located in the center of a treasure mountain, but couldn't compete with those large clans and large sects, and couldn't gain many benefits. What could they do about this? Rob, of course. As time passed, more fierce bandits and exiles gathered here, treating the tyrant wind domain as their base of operations. They came and went like howling winds, just like a sky full of locusts, almost robbing the mines of every large clan and sect. Of course they didn't dare touch the mines of holy lands, and those large clans and sects could do nothing about them. They had sent out forces many times, wanting to level the tyrant wind domain, but all suffered humiliating defeats. There was no other way. Those bandits were united together. They were too strong. And the old man before them, named Hui Xuanbiao, was exactly the #1 bandit of the tyrant wind domain. His cultivation base had long reached the high stages of the cave profound realm. Rumor had it he wasn't too far from the Saint Ancestor realm, because the tyrant god stronghold plundered in all directions. There was almost nothing they didn't dare to rob. Wherever there were exotic treasures, there would be their figures, like a heaven-swallowing divine beast. Therefore the #1 bandit leader also earned the nickname Mountain-Swallowing Tiger. Over the past 1,000 years or so, the entire tyrant wind domain, because of his existence, even faintly had the trend of suppressing those large clans and large sects. This was absolutely a fierce bandit through and through. Who dared to get close to him? For a moment, the eyes of many surrounding people were filled with fear. Especially Sun Qian, who had just planned to make friends, was cursing his mother in his heart. You damn fierce bandit. This is the ancient heaven sect. The sect where the Frost Heavenly Emperor and Saint Ancestor Wushu reside. You a major bandit. Sending your own grandson here. Is it really appropriate? Hui Xuanbiao looked at his expression and chuckled hee again. Brother Sun, what are you doing? After the assessment ends later, I'll treat you to a drink. I've long heard that the Sun clan of the Sky Sea domain has a royal grade treasured saber. When the time comes you must lend it to me to play with for a bit. Granny Shi Xiao Fui Zhao He Jiang Yizong and the others quickly ascended moon-gazing peak. They hadn't seen the little guy for over half a year. Every one of them missed him dearly. Moreover, Yuxian had actually secretly come out of seclusion earlier and slipped into the Battle Dragon secret realm. They didn't know if he suffered any hardships inside, or if he had gotten thinner. Besides that, everyone was also worried that the actions of the Bailey family and others might have put the little guy in a bad mood. After all, he's still a child. They definitely had to comfort him properly later. The figures of a large group of people coalesced and appeared in the void. Xiao Fui's figure hadn't even stabilized yet when he started shouting loudly, "My good granddisciple, Grandmaster has come to see you." Halfway through his sentence, he suddenly paused in the middle. The scene he saw before his eyes left him dumbfounded. Granny Shi and the others on the side also widened their eyes. They saw that on moon-gazing peak at this moment, curling smoke from cooking fires had risen. Waves of meat fragrance drifted out. Led by Jiang Yuxian, a group of young boys and girls were currently digging pits and making food. Good heavens! It was a scene of bustling activity. Incredibly busy. Among them, a young boy in purple clothes was channeling a powerful true spirit of flame. It was actually the purple nether heaven-burning flame. At this moment he was multitasking, splitting out several streams of flame. Standing in the center, a group of people surrounded him. A sturdy boy next to him was horizontally holding a large halberd. Skewered on it was a massive tiger trotter, roasting over the fire and turning it continuously. Two others nearby were responsible for sprinkling something on it. That is the trotter of a white tiger. Granny Shi Xiaofui and the others were stunned, all of them looking somewhat foolish. These people were actually roasting meat, and they were roasting the trotter of a white tiger. No way? But the scene before their eyes wasn't just this. On the other side there was a large cauldron standing on the ground, boiling a full cauldron of meat broth, bubbling and gurgling. A white-robed young man with a jade-like elegance and extraordinary bearing was holding a long sword, continuously stirring the meat broth. He even scooped out a bit with a stone bowl to taste it, smacked his lips, seeming to feel the taste was a bit bland, and added some more seasoning. Boiling broth with the bones of a green-eyed demonic wolf. Zhao He's beard trembled violently as he murmured. The rest of the people nearby were also staring blankly. Where the hell did they find a white tiger and a green-eyed demonic wolf? Not only that, they also saw Jiang Yuxian. At this time the little guy was standing on a large rock. Beside him were plates of processed precious herbs. The little guy was currently instructing two young girls. Let me tell you, this thing called stir-frying requires a hot wok and cold oil. The heat must be strong. Understand? After the ingredients go into the wok, you must stir-fry continuously. Before taking it out of the wok, splash just a tiny bit of water to increase the wok breath of the wok. Watch carefully. I'll only demonstrate once. The little guy held a spatula carved from wood, with a large wok set in front of him. No wait. That was clearly a precious shield. And its grade wasn't low either. Zhao He and the group of people were all dumbfounded. Little guy, what are you doing? Granny She couldn't help but ask aloud. Only then did Jiang Yuxian snap out of his concentration. Granny and Grandmaster, you guys are back, he said while coating the wok with oil rendered from the white tiger. Waiting until the tiger oil smoked, he immediately picked up a plate of precious herbs cut like potato shreds and directly poured them into the wok. With a sizzle, the flames shot up more than a meter high, startling Qin Yushi and Qin Zihan. I have to say, the heat of the purple nether heaven-burning flame is really strong. Jiang Yuxian nodded in satisfaction, while also turning his head to shout at Granny Shi and the others. You guys came just in time. Find a place to sit down first. Taste my cooking later. Nobody leave. While speaking, he glanced at the wine gourd at Zhao He's waist. Grandmaster, you have wine in your gourd, right? Later we absolutely must have a few cups of it. Then he turned his head, ignoring them, and looked at the two girls standing on his left and right. You must watch carefully and learn seriously. Got it? Whether you're a boy or a girl, being able to cook good dishes gets you extra points, and you won't starve yourself no matter where you go. Jiang Yuxian wasn't afraid of the heat either. Grabbing the edge of the wok with his left hand, he started tossing the wok. Sizzling sounds came from the wok. Cooking smoke rushed towards the sky. Qin Yushi and Qin Zihan, like two well-behaved babies, listened seriously by the side. and observed intently. Not long after, a delicious aroma began to waft out. Boss. How much longer until we eat? Hui Shoutao sat cross-legged on the ground, currently hollowing out stones to make bowls. He was drooling, wetting the front of his clothes. Do your work. Stop making a fuss. There are many people. Make more bowls, got it? Jiang Yuxian glared at him and said. This scene made Granny Shi Xiaofui Jiang Yizong and the others almost popped their eyes out. They were still worried about whether the little guy had suffered any hardships these past few days, or suffered any grievances. But what was presented before their eyes was such a bustling and lively scene. Looking at that posture, he was clearly familiar with the process. It wasn't his first time. How does this look like he suffered any hardships, or suffered any grievances inside the Battle Dragon's secret realm? Could he have lived just as comfortably? So it turns out you sneaking in for the assessment was to form a chef team? But it really does smell quite good. Xiaofui suddenly licked his lips. The remaining old men actually swallowed their saliva as well, using precious herbs to cook and season. And the meat was also from high-grade vicious beasts. How could it not smell good? Zhao he couldn't help but pick up his wine gourd, unplugged it and took a gulp, drinking wine accompanied by the aroma. They had really opened their eyes today. So food could actually be prepared like this. The group of people didn't interrupt either, just standing to the side and watching, waiting until Jiang Yuxian's first dish was out of the wok. The task was handed over to Qin Yuxi and the other girl, while he supervised and instructed from the side. And Xiaofui was actually getting a bit impatient. This smells way too good. He eagerly trotted over, picked up a pair of chopsticks from Hui Shoutao. My good granddisciple. Let Grandmaster taste this dish for you first, haha. Picking up the dish Jiang Yuxian had just stir-fried, he stuffed it right into his mouth, carefully savoring the taste. He couldn't help but narrow his eyes. So fragrant. So crisp. Xiaofui chewed with loud crisp sounds, nodding nonstop in praise. Then ran over to Yang Xiao, sliced a piece of meat off the large tiger trotter, and tossed it into his mouth. The heat made him suck in breath rapidly. But after chewing a few times, his whole being was instantly invigorated. This is too delicious. The meat flavor was rich and intense, mixed together with the flavors of various seasonings. It was crispy, spicy, and numbing. Simply too wonderful. Delicious. So incredibly delicious. How could there be something so delicious? After eating one piece, Xiaofui sliced off another piece. Before long, he wolfed it down again. Hui Shoutao watched his actions, wiping his drool time and time again. Is it really that delicious? The remaining powerhouses of the Ancient Heaven sect were a bit doubtful, looking at the appearance of those two. Isn't it too exaggerated? Old man Xiao, look at yourself. The Ancient Heaven sect is a supreme great sect. We are the high-level executives of the sect. No matter what, you must have some grace. There's a group of little kids watching here. Can you be a bit more reserved? An elder suddenly scoffed. Xiaofui's ravenous appearance made the group from the Ancient Heaven sect roll their eyes. You are a sect elder after all, and the master of Saint Ancestor Wushu. Calling you highly respected wouldn't be an overstatement. Yet you pay no attention to your image at all. With a group of little kids watching nearby, giving people a joke to laugh at for no reason. For a moment, everyone cast disdainful looks at Xiaofui.